Okay, and we're live. Roy, how's it going?
Man, what a week.
Yeah.
A lot of news, a lot of stuff that happened. Thank you guys for being here with us for Fiesta Friday. I was just telling Tevis it was going well, but I kind of lost track of time. I was playing chess, and I'm like, oh no, I got to finish this out, and I almost threw the game. So, but more importantly, man, so much happening in the market, so many earnings calls, so many reads on a lot of the names that we track as well. And it's Fiesta Friday. How are you, Tevis?
I'm good. I'm using another tripod and it's like super high up. So like you're like looking down on me and my mic is broken and I have to fix it after the pod. But other than that, I'm doing great. I had like a nice little 2 hour nap today. It was fantastic.
Well, that's reverse of normal. Usually we're all looking up to you, so I guess we can look down on you now. And you know the reason why I'm going to look down on you is not just
Palantir.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What is it?
yeah. Did you see what it did?
No. What did it do? It went
All
up,
right.
but did it go up again
So
today?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay. So we've already talked Palantir earnings, so we're not going to do that necessarily. But what we're going to talk about mainly today is, of course, next week has NBIS and CRWV earnings. We'll talk some space talk stuff as well. Maybe we'll throw in a little bit of Cloudflare. There's some interesting stuff. Jobs report as well. But I got to tease Tevis a little bit here. So now Tevis has made a ton of money in investments. So, but this is one of his blind spots where I'm like, hey, Palantir is trading at 106. Maybe you should get some. He's like, nah, I'm good. I'd rather buy ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a fine company at a fine price. Man, up 35% this week on ridiculous earnings. So, do you have any regrets, Tevis?
No, I mean, I'm happy you're making money, man. Like that's been my stance always with you guys. Like now that Tanner's also in it as well. Like I'm happy you guys are making money.
Yeah.
I don't need to be in everything, you know. I'm
Yeah.
doing very well for the year, and yeah, it's a crazy price action post earnings. So congratulations to all the holders.
Who needs to invest in generational companies, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean,
I'm,
you never know, man. Like it's just
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like
Like year to date, when in doubt, zoom out. Year to date, it's up 2%. Zoom out further than that, it's up a lot. But yeah, the main thing is like people and with earnings, I think as we're midway through, maybe 2/3 of the way through earnings season, we can sometimes think that stocks that haven't moved in a while on good earnings, they're just never going to move again. And man, 35%. Yeah. On some things. Yeah, so, I can be wrong as well, but yeah. Palantir, if it gets to 75, I probably only own Palantir, honestly. Like I don't even own my Tesla at that point. It's well, not quite. I mean, I'm just joking. But no, like I don't know why you'd own any other stocks. Like there'd have to be something really wrong. Now, what's interesting is a couple of things as we'll kind of pivot into our main discussion. So, of course, we had App 11 that reported this week. Robinhood reported last week. Coinbase, I don't track them as much these days in crypto winter, and Palantir. And so there was a lot of people that were pulling this out, from a year ago. And I like Heisenberg. He's awesome for the memes. Good follow. Good dude as well. But yeah, he was noting like, man, this is brutal, like pretty flat, negative, and really negative. Part of that's crypto winter. Palantir is looking a lot better right now. So they also had, I don't know if you saw this, I didn't post about it, I hadn't done a video or anything. They had a partnership announced with USA Today, which was really interesting. Like it's basically what USA Today and what's happening with mainline media right now is that they're not getting the referral traffic like they used to enjoy before AI and before AI agents. And so they're like, hey, let's partner with Palantir to try to figure out a way to better engage and better monetize our clients. And so this is, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. Because I was thinking, okay, maybe they'll go the route of Cloudflare because they have, of course, the offering and services where they're like, hey, we can block agents for you, or we can charge some sort of toll booth fee. But this is something that I think a lot of legacy media is going to have to figure out. So it'll be interesting. Like there's so many different things where Palantir has this partnership. I'm like, I never thought of them in that way. Man, they're so adaptable. They're amazing.
yeah, great company.
But beyond that, of course, we had Was there any other earnings that stood out to you this week?
There was a lot that stood out to me this week. There's nothing that's really coming to mind. I know Figma reported earnings. Obviously, SpaceX is the elephant in the room, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
There
we
was
have to talk
also
about
a
that.
bunch of others that reported. Duolingo reported earnings this week. That was kind of interesting to see. That they like missed some expectations. Um,
Yeah,
and
I'm so glad I like dipped my toe in. I'm like, nah, there's better opportunities, and boy,
yeah, yeah, no, I definitely lost a little bit of money on that one, but I got out thankfully in December. So, um, who else reported earnings this week? Dude,
Salesforce did, Cloudflare as well. Yeah, we have to talk SpaceX for sure. Yeah, there was a bunch of names. AppLovin was one of those. I didn't get like deep into AppLovin until like look and see what was going on there. But the Trade Desk, I believe, as well reported too.
did you
So
see Wix bought back like 30% of their float or something ridiculous like this?
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's I mean, well, we can talk about whatever you want. I haven't kept up with a lot of earnings, but yeah,
okay,
SanDisk reported earnings as well.
yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, I didn't
Apple,
pay as much attention as I probably should after that one. So, but yeah, the SaaS names are really interesting. So, like, I think that's part of the reason why maybe Palantir ran up so hard today too. Is I think there's a lot of reasons. Some people were studying the USA Today partnership. I'm like, I don't know about that, guys. Honestly, great earnings, but it was on Monday, so you'd be like, well, why is it run like Tuesday? Yeah, maybe Wednesday, some follow through. Friday, you'd think that everything would be kind of priced in. Now, it was a very green day on the market. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. And by the way, I did write covered calls, and right after that amazing earnings report, I'm like, nope, not going to go through this again. This is going to be a big mover. So,
you just buy them back a
think
lot.
yeah, I ended up rolling them out to 185. So if we hit 185 next week, I can keep rolling for a while. I don't think I would be a little bit surprised to see Palantir settle much above 200 right now before the midterms. But I mean, like, who knows?
Yes,
Um,
we will talk about the space trade as well because that's also interesting.
But I think we have a lot of the SaaS names that have reported, and I think that really what it was, Tevis, I think Salesforce either reported Wednesday or Thursday, and ServiceNow, of course, reported last week. Like both, I'm not taking away anything from either of these companies. They're fine companies. Well,
Yeah,
ServiceNow is a fine company. Salesforce kind of is really mediocre and hypes themselves way too much for 13% growth. Uh, but you have HubSpot that's really, really weak. You have Duolingo that is having a lot of weakness as well. And there's a lot of SaaS names that I think the market's starting to, and with Wix as well. Very solid earnings read, especially in base 44. But what's happening, I think, is the market has been over the last few weeks, the last month or so, kind of sifting out those names of, okay, AI is not going to kill every single thing SaaS. In fact, some SaaS names are very much strengthened. And I think whatever it took this week, between the earnings reads, between what other SaaS names were reporting, I think the market woke up and said, okay, actually, Palantir really benefits from SaaS. Maybe we shouldn't have sold it off nearly as much. Maybe these arguments have been floating around by Michael Burry. And yes, we will talk about his newest short targets that he announced in just a moment.
yeah.
That maybe all of that is completely overblown. It's hard to look at 93% year over year growth with just insane margins. Yes, they took a step down from a one off type of thing, but they're still in the high 80s as bearish. So it'll be interesting to see how this runs over the next few weeks. But I think the market definitely is like, I was, maybe I'm late to this revelation. We've talked about before whether or not the SaaS overhang is done. I think that for sure at this point we've arrived. Now, that doesn't mean all SaaS can't go down and bleed throughout the end of the year, but I do think that it's like, hey, it's going to start separating the wheat from the chaff,
Mm.
and Palantir is pure wheat, baby.
Dude, if you weren't, if I knew that you weren't paid by Palantir, I would be asking myself at this point because get you a girl that looks at you the way Roy looks at Palantir, and you'll be set for life.
Just in case in case
Not,
what
he's not.
Tevis said was not, yeah, unclear. Like they don't pay anybody. Like even Amit, like he comes out, they invite him to like their AIP cons. He has to pay for his own plane ticket. He has to pay for his own hotel. He has to pay for everything. I think Wally's there might be some food, but like that's it. Like they do get some free merch, so that right there I didn't pay for, but I mean it's not
So
from anything. It's just like, hey, you like Palantir, here you go.
yeah,
Well,
look,
I asked. I was yeah.
I think the entire SaaS trade caught a bid
Oh
this
yeah.
week just this time around in general, which is great. Like, it's been long overdue, I feel. And um, we've been talking about this for uh, quite a while now, right? This is why I bought ServiceNow back in, like June, because it's in expectation of this trade. Now, obviously, extenuating circumstances, traded out of that, bought some other stuff, which is done better for that time period. But yeah, I think the SaaS trade is definitely catching steam because we're getting another round of earnings reports coming out. And as a result, we're getting to see more data. And the data is showing that these companies are not, in fact, going to get disrupted by AI, that in many cases, the earnings are actually stronger than what was initially forecasted. And as a result, the market is taking a second look at these companies that 6 months ago it had written off as it's going to get disrupted by AI. And now it's looking like it's an oversold opportunity that they want to get back in. And so the entirety of that SaaS trade is moving higher, even in sympathy trades with each other, right? You see ServiceNow moved quite a bit higher this week, and it didn't even report this week. But Atlassian report, or I think it was Atlassian that reported, Salesforce reported, all of these other SaaS companies reported, and they're all moving up and down in a basket. Is that right or wrong? I don't know, but that's what's going on right now. And so, similar to how it hurt these SaaS companies that were outperforming fundamentally in the past, it's now helping these SaaS companies for the same reason because they're continuing to deliver fundamentally. And the market is just realizing that and correcting the previous mistake that it had made.
Yeah, and I would just push back a little bit. I would say they're not all like the basket is moving and it's largely moving upward, but there are names like HubSpot and Duolingo that are clearly showing signs of stress at the very least, and they're not doing that well overall. But most of them, yeah, it's one of those where the rising tide lifts most boats, but the boats that are leaky, maybe they're going to rise as much. Any of these names that you're like, hey man, I'd love to get in before it rises too much. Like, we didn't talk about Wix. Probably Palantir's too rich for you, but
Do you want me to
I mean, you're rich, but
Do you want
what's
me to
that?
throw up your screen? Because I can see what you
Oh,
have up on your screen. Like, do you
yes,
want
yes,
to keep
yes.
talking about that or?
Yeah, that was funny. Since you guys mentioned it, find a woman who looks at you like Amit looks at Alex Karp.
Yeah. Yeah,
Couldn't
Roy and
resist.
Palantir sitting in a tree.
So any of these SaaS names that you're like, hey, I want to add more to, I want to get a position, something long term, or are you just good with what you have?
You know what, Roy? Like, I wouldn't say no to getting back into ServiceNow at some point. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Um, it's not as compelling as it was at under $100, but it's still, I think, oversold, and I still think the trajectory is going to be higher. I don't know that we're going to get pullbacks in between, I'm sure, but I think we're going to be in for an upwards move there. Also, because I might have my covered calls completely smoked on Rocket Lab and on CoreWeave both. And if I do, that's going to be a very short-lived trade for me, but a very lucrative one because my covered calls on Rocket Lab, they expire in like 2 weeks, which is 1 week after Rocket Lab earnings. And if they do well on earnings, like those are 1000% gone. And I would be locking in about, I think it's 30 to 35% gain on those since end of July. So in about 3 weeks. And CoreWeave, I have $100 covered calls for the same time period. And for CoreWeave, I would be locking in, over 50% gains, like 60 something percent gains in the same time period in 3 weeks. So
Into earnings.
Into earnings, yeah. And so if both of those get called away, honestly, I might even let them get called away, free up a whole bunch of capital, and try to reposition myself into other names that I still think are oversold with that. And I want to exercise the rule that I'm trying to enforce for myself, which is that of the gains that I make, 50% of which I want to buy into SPY or QQQ or something and just leave it there as a tax on my portfolio, and redeploy the rest into another, swing trade, let's call it, that I think is oversold. Micron is looking interesting as well, under $900. So we'll see. It could be a SaaS company, it could be something else. But first things first is my CoreWeave and my Rocket Lab have to get called away. They're both underwater right now by a big amount for Rocket Lab, especially. So, but really the earnings, I think, is going to be the telling story there, because if Rocket Lab doesn't do well on earnings, I could be sitting on those shares. But I think they will do well, and I think I'm going to get them called away. And it might suck for a little bit. Maybe I might roll them out once or twice, but it's a good problem to have, I think. You just locking in some quick gains in a short order, and we can redeploy.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating if you've been sitting on it for a year and not made that much, and then your covered calls get blown up. But when it's 3 weeks, it's like, okay, cool. Next.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, right now, I know a lot of names have moved up this week over the last, 8 days. But there's still a lot of really good buys in the market. But you mentioned Rocket Lab a couple of times. When do they report earnings?
On the 14th, I believe it is, June. You can let me know because you're much more closely to it. I believe it's on the 14th, but I think next week, maybe next Thursday or something like that. I think it's next week.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, let's talk space then. So we'll talk space. Then we'll talk the what we are expecting or looking for, what we think the market is looking for NBIS and CoreWeave. For Rocket Lab, anything that you're particularly looking for? I know that you're newer there for earnings then. Monday, wow.
Monday after close, Rocket Lab reports earnings. I mean, we entered the weekend and they finished the day off at almost $83 a share. If you remember, for Rocket Lab, I bought them at about $62. And we'll see, because if they really shoot up on earnings, I might have to roll these out and just let it cool off. I don't know what the play is there, Roy, because I think with Rocket Lab, one of the main distinctions was SpaceX. And I continue to highlight this, that SpaceX is really setting the beat, and all of these other space stocks are marching to that beat. We thought SpaceX, after the report, was going to go down even under 100, because you had giant tranches of insiders being able to sell as of this week. And SpaceX, by contrast, caught a bid. And now it's back up to 130. I still think there's going to be a lot of selling pressure on SpaceX. But of course, you have TerraFab and you have all of this other news around in general that is driving it higher, driving the anticipation higher. But really, if SpaceX, I think, falls, Rocket Lab is going to fall. And if SpaceX rises, Rocket Lab is going to rise. Of course, you have other factors. It's not that simple. Rocket Lab's going into earnings. They have, they completed, other deals since I bought. So there's a bunch of factors. But I think SpaceX is a big, sort of canary in the coal mine for the space trade.
Yeah, no, I think that's certainly true. It's a whole space and industry that has been heating up, but that has been the big mover. It's the biggest player in the space. It's a conglomerate, of course. With the SpaceX tranches, if you can throw this up, this is what we're looking at. So IPO initial float, 5% unlocked. This already happened, that 7% unlocked. August 21st, 3%. And you can just see all these different tranches. And of course, the massive amount is the Elon, but I don't know that he's planning to sell any of that. So we're past basically the biggest unlock until November. So, and this it didn't create, negative price action. A lot of these space names have been ripping. As far as SpaceX earnings, I do want to talk Voyager, by the way, because they had earnings, and man, it was an absolute banger. And I was like, man, it was one that were in the stock draft. I really wanted to get it. I've been talking about it. I even did a members only video on it. And I don't have money. So I was like, I can't buy it. I'd rather just buy CoreWeave 2 right here. But it seemed like a steal. That'll be really interesting to see how they report. But is from their earnings, did you listen to the earnings call or review the earnings call?
For SpaceX?
Yeah.
I just saw the headline numbers, and I didn't
Okay.
really listen to the earnings call or review like in-depth numbers. I made a post about it around just their capex as well as what they reported from a top and bottom line, and like their backlog and all of this. But yeah, I didn't look beyond that surface level.
Okay. Yeah, there's some insane things. I mean, Elon always throws out some just absolute nuggets.
Dude,
But first,
I
can you throw up Kevin's? Oh,
yeah,
you saw them.
yeah. Thank you, Kevin, for the $5.
Thank you, man.
To Roy's channel, I had SpaceX 130 and 120 cash secured puts expired today. I want to do another cash secured put and a buy. Right thoughts? Yeah, look, I think if you want to hold the underlying shares, then cash secured puts are a great way of getting them at the price that you want or getting paid if you don't want, you're buying on your own terms and not on the market's terms, let's call it. If you want to hold SpaceX, if the earnings was compelling, if the growth rate and the prospects of that company are compelling, then I would say cash secured puts are a good way to go about it. I think 130s and 120s are risky. I would probably write them closer, to like 110, 100 ish. But that's just me personally because I think it's overvalued at this price point. But I'm probably the wrong person to ask because generally speaking, I think a lot of the space names are a little bit ahead of their skis right now. Or at least they've pulled back since June, but in June they were really ahead of their skis.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Maybe, we can differ on some names. Some names I think are maybe a little bit towards fair value, and some are, of course, ridiculous nosebleed prices. But
Mhm.
so with this, Kevin, I would say it depends on your strategy. If your goal is to make premiums, make money off of premiums, and that's your main goal, but you don't mind owning it, probably listen to Tevis there. If you're like, hey, I want some long-term position, I'm just doing this to maybe get a better fill, I'd write closer to the money in that, and just be prepared to if you want to will the other side. What I tend to do when I want to own, but I also want to make some premiums, is I'll buy about half of what I plan to own, and then I'll write cash secured puts more conservatively. So not financial advice or anything. Figure out what's best for you, but yeah, no, that's a great problem to have. Is have a lot of money and have a stock that you want to own with extremely good premiums. That's awesome.
Thank you, Highland, for the 5 memberships. Let me know, Highland, if you did enjoy that members only video that I made, for you guys on like Friday, I think it was. If you want me to make more, let me know what you guys want me to talk about. Maybe like options, 201 type of class or something that's a little bit more intricate. Like you were basically the only reason that I made that video because you donated like 75 memberships in a week, and I just felt compelled. But let me know what you would want to see next. And look, what I'll say about SpaceX, Roy, is I'm convinced that for Tesla as well as for SpaceX, if you look at the past year and a half, 2 years, mostly for Tesla on the earnings calls, it's literally just an Elon pump fest where all he does is he just shills essentially the future of these companies. Now, whether that's entirely genuine and like he just believes it, and so he's sharing that belief, or whether there's ulterior motives or whatever the case may be, like we know both Tesla and SpaceX trade on the story. And previously, I mean, I was in Tesla for like 5 years, right? Elon was actually much more reserved in terms of making these like bold, statements or bold claims. And I mean, he did do them periodically, but also people critique the timeline. People critiqued, what the claims were in general, whether they had the execution capabilities to get there, so on and so forth. But what I'm noticing, Roy, and maybe this is just me, but in every single earnings call over the past year or so, all he does is he talks about how Tesla's going to be the biggest company in the world and bigger than the next like 3 biggest companies combined. And it's going to have these ridiculous, SpaceX is going to have $1 trillion in revenue and all of these outrageous, salacious claims around the future of these companies. And I mean, sure, but I think similar to, Trump and Iran, it's like the boy who cried wolf, where the more you mention something, it loses that shock value and ultimately just becomes like he's like a marketing guy on these calls at this point.
Well, did you know what he was really marketing though on SpaceX?
What's that?
I'm sure that you saw this, but I'll remind you, and I'll remind the folks. This that he tweeted, I think during earnings. If not, it was the second after they went off. SpaceX is committed to using NVIDIA GPUs exclusively because they are the best. And when you look at their earnings call, like he was pumping NVIDIA. He said, we're actually aiming to far exceed the gigawatt number when they were asked on like the 10 gigawatt goal by the end, or closer to 10 than 5 gigawatts by the end of 2027. He said, our tentative target is to have 20 gigawatts of power and cooling online by next year. Now, I don't think that we're going to achieve 20 gigawatts, but we're going to have a series of projects that cumulatively come to 20 gigawatts by the end of next year. Some of them won't pan out exactly in time, but I would expect that we would have at the power plant level something close to 15 gigawatts. And then he talks about it elsewhere as our understanding with NVIDIA is that we'll receive a very significant percentage of the GPUs next year. And of course, he announced here earlier that they're going to have the exclusive with NVIDIA. We're exclusive to NVIDIA. He was shilling NVIDIA left and right. And I made a video that nobody watched, and thank you for the few people that did actually watch it. But man, NVIDIA really just started moving in that because people realized Vera Rubin is so ridiculously good. Combined with the CUDA software, it's just impeccable. And yes, there are other options out there, and ASICs are good at certain things in certain instances. Vera Rubin is just a juggernaut. And so Elon, so there's some speculation in there. I want to see what you have to think. So some were speculating that maybe Elon got a sweetheart deal where they are lowering their price. They're willing to accept lower margins just because Elon's giving these shout outs. I think that he was just shielding for just to be able to get the volume. Like there was some sort of agreement of like, no, we're going to pay the same price of what you're asking, but we need these Vera Rubin and they're hard to get. So let me just give you some shout outs. Do you think that was it? Or am I offside on that?
Yeah. Again, I don't know. And like to Blake's point, Elon, like the expression "don't bet against Elon" is there for a reason because he has executed well in the past. You can question the timelines, but you can't really question the direction and the execution because he is. And this is one of the big reasons why I was in Tesla for so long is I do believe he is one of the brightest minds and the brightest entrepreneurs of our generation. Whether he's the best salesperson that ever lived or the best marketer or the best engineer, I don't care. He's the best something. And it's attributed by the fact that, his wealth has accumulated and the fact that he's had the highest number of billion-dollar plus valuation companies per one person in the world. So look, I'm not saying SpaceX is a bad investment, nor that it's a bad company. I'm just saying that if you look at a ratio between what is he talking about that's in the quarter commentary or the macro commentary versus something that is multi-years out, I'm saying that anecdotally, the last earnings calls for both of his public companies that I'm hearing is that he is focusing a predominant portion of his time on stuff that is multi-years out and an underwhelming amount that is stuff that is months or multi-quarters out. I'm not questioning the execution. I'm not questioning the direction. I'm not questioning any of this stuff. I'm saying that he's looking out in the future. I don't know what the ulterior motive is, Roy. Whether it's to merge with Tesla and he wants to, increase the valuation, or whether it's genuine, like he's just rambling because he's excited about something.
Well, I for NVIDIA specifically, do you think that this was just Elon being Elon and just saying, hey, I like this, and so I'm going to tweet about it? Do you think it's like, hey, they're giving me a lot of their volume of Vera Rubin, or do you think that NVIDIA is like, hey, let's lower our price just because Elon's willing to do this?
No, he and Jensen have always been tight. This is like back in the OG days of the early 2010s when Jensen gifted him like the first, GPU at the. Do you remember this? There's like a picture of this Jensen gifting Elon like the first, GPU. And like, look, I think Jensen's ultra bullish on Elon. If you don't believe me, look at any Jensen interviews. I mean, he refers to Elon as like the number one entrepreneur. Exactly what I said. Basically, he has that stance, and I understand why. Nothing Elon really can say or tweet during an earnings call is going to change that relationship, with Jensen. So I think Tesla gets, preferential treat. They have access to NVIDIA And them having an exclusivity with NVIDIA was just like the natural next step. I'm not reading too much into that because I knew what the backstory was between these guys.
Okay, I want to talk Voyager in just a second, but I don't want to leave SpaceX quite yet because the other read and the big reason why, well, there's two reasons why I listened to the SpaceX call and looked into the numbers and everything.
Yeah.
One was, I mean, I am interested, like it's a fascinating company, but the other is the data center read. So that large of a data center amount, and also them saying that they're going to get a bunch of the Vera Rubins. Are you concerned on your end with Nebius perhaps not getting as many Vera Rubins as maybe had anticipated? Because they historically have a close relationship with NVIDIA. And for me, like CoreWeave, like I'll just say, no concern. It seems like that CoreWeave is very close to Jensen. I don't think that this is going to cut into that amount. I think that others that may have wanted to try to get in line, I think that they might have to be a little bit further back. But I think that Nebius and CoreWeave will be just fine. And I think, like my read on this for just the rampant build out of the data centers, Elon always is like way over optimistic, so he's not going to come close to 20 gigawatts next year. Maybe they get to, well, I guess it's 2 years out. Maybe they get to like 12, 15. We'll have to see. But I think it's more just of a validation of the crazy demand that's happening in the data space. So I don't read any of this as bearish. In fact, I think since they're going to have this massive terafab with a huge number of Vera Rubins,
Yeah.
Nebius is going to get theirs, CoreWeave is going to get theirs, and a lot of other people, like Microsoft probably too, but a lot of the others, like they're lower down the list just because they're creating their own chips, and NVIDIA is like, well, you can wait a little bit longer. So I think it's actually kind of bullish for CoreWeave and Nebius. Am I just drinking the Kool-Aid, or what do you think?
I don't think so. If you're drinking the Kool-Aid, then I definitely am as well. I think Nebius is at the front of the line. I think Nebius's relationship with NVIDIA, being one of their preferred partners, their, whatever their tier is, their like excellence, tier that very few have, along with CoreWeave as well, right? NVIDIA has helped Nebius get to where they are. They're actively throwing customers Nebius's way. They're keeping Nebius alive. I don't want to say it like that because it sounds like Nebius would be dead if it wasn't for NVIDIA. And many companies would be dead if it wasn't for NVIDIA. But I'm not saying that's the case for Nebius. I'm saying that NVIDIA has a vested interest in Nebius's success, right? They're an owner in Nebius. They are a strong partner in Nebius. And so for Nebius to get Vera Rubins ahead of everybody else was always the plan starting in the second half of 26. And that's going to continue to be the plan. Everybody else can get in line. And the bigger the delays are, the more that's going to drive a moat for Nebius and the few select partners, including SpaceX and CoreWeave, that will get Vera Rubins ahead of time because Vera Rubins are going to be very sought after. I think that's like a novelty, though. The Vera Rubins, I mean, it can lead to another hyperscaler contract or something in the short term. But in reality, this is like a blanket demand that's stressing the system across the board from the GB, 200s all the way to the Vera Rubins and everything in between, right? So I think the real story on a macro is the depreciation schedule is getting longer. And for these companies like Nebius and CoreWeave to get a higher multiple, essentially, off that lifetime shelf value of that hardware. NVIDIA, similar to SpaceX, they have a great relationship with Nebius. That's not going to change anytime soon because of the demand profile out there. And because you have incentives that are also aligned to Nebius being successful, whether it's their investment or their partnership or, the whole Nebius will take care of you. But all of this stuff plays a part, right? So I'm not worried about that in the slightest.
Yeah. He may not know how to pronounce the name, but he knows that they are there. Yeah, and same with Iris Energy. Like Iron, I think that they're exclusively using NVIDIA products. They're one of the preferred partners as well. I'm not sure where they come in the rankings of everything. It seems like Nebius and CoreWeave are like up at the very top, and maybe Iron is just a little bit behind as far as that preference for whatever reason. But it's just a ridiculous time as far as the demand that's happening there. By the way, with Fiesta Friday, we will get into Q&As fairly soon. There's already 42 questions bookmarked, and you guys are asking a lot of good questions. They can be related to stuff that we're talking about or not as well. Can you throw up the Matthew Johnson comment. I think I like that one now, actually.
This question,
Yeah.
he
Why
gets
wouldn't
to pick
Nvidia
a
buy?
line. This is like his sixth freaking question, Roy.
Well, this one's a quick one. So why wouldn't
Are we starting
Nvidia buy
Q&A?
out these players? Is because they want to sell their GPUs to somebody, not host data centers. That whole thing is there's so many players that are in the space. I don't think that they want to compete with their clientele. I think they want to be very, very careful with that. They may end up building some like internally, but I don't think that that's going to be a big part of their project. And you have to be very, very careful with that, because then all of a sudden you're getting into this system where, okay, they're a client, but you guys have to wait because we're going to build out all our data centers with all our GPUs. And so you're going to have to wait another year. What's going to happen is all of a sudden people are knocking on Lisa Su's door and like, hey, we need your product. And people knock on Google's door and say, hey, give us some of the TPUs, and Amazon's door and give us a Trainium and whatever else that they can get. Even like there was this crazy figure, like AMD also reported this week, and they're like so far ahead of where they should be, although not as far ahead as you would think just from the numbers, because they're about to be see some major acceleration. But with AMD, there was, I don't remember the chip, but they were like, hey, we haven't sold these. These are really, really old. We can't do anything for them. We're just going to write them off. And I think it was this earnings, double check me on that, chat, that they had actually sold them because the demand is so ridiculous. Even old GPUs that they wrote off and they're like, hey, these don't have any value anymore, they still have demand. It's crazy. But yeah, I think that's exactly the answer there. Real quick on Voyager. Voyager, again, was one of these that reported this week. A lot of space names did really, really well. Any guesses what the price went up by Tevis before I throw this up?
15%. 20. Actually, it's a small cap, so maybe higher. 25%.
50%.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah, I'm like, seriously, I was making videos, I was making content. I didn't have the money. It's probably ahead of itself, to be honest, but they had really, really good numbers, all-time high on backlog, some new contracts as well announced. Top line was raised, 84% year-over-year growth is implied. They just took off like a rocket. Yeah, 2.1x book-to-bill ratio. So yeah, Voyager,
it doubled in a week, Roy?
went up 50%. Not a double, but yeah, close actually. Well, if you look over the last 8 days, let's see, from the bottom, 22 to there. Oh, that's the wrong. Where's that?
Yeah, you had it in the top right.
Price chart. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Yeah, it's up 69%.
In a week. Insane. All right, let's hold on, because we have to talk about Q&A, Roy, because we have take a look at how many questions we have right now.
Yeah, so some of those are donations and members,
sure, but
and thank you guys. But
we have about 49 bookmarked comments to get through, and we will. But before we do that, super quick, let me bring this up, because Brandon here reminded me, saying we're all here to hear you guys' thoughts about the NBIS shorts, because somebody that we know shorted NBIS.
Yeah, and Oracle,
a fellow doctor of yours. What do
not
you
of mine,
think?
but
what do you think about Michael Burry shorting NBIS?
I think, okay, I think a couple of things. It may just be, it's hard to say with Burry, like how much is genuine and how much he's just like, hey, I want to tell people I'm shorting this. It's going to go down because a lot of people pile into that. I'll make my money. It's not a long-term thing. You know, he's out in 30 days or whatever. Maybe. Although you can get in trouble with that if it's like, hey, it's a long-term thing, and then you get out like in a day or something. But he's like, it's weird. He's bullish. He's not like completely bearish on everything AI, but like he shorted Nvidia, which made no sense at all, like zero. Yeah. He shorted Palantir, like on valuation. I'm like, yeah, I see the point, and I said that at the time. But the reasons that he threw out there were just the dumbest things ever. I think that the guy just doesn't understand AI. Now he's very bullish on Alibaba. He thinks that Alibaba is like the best Chinese name that's positioned to benefit from AI. Maybe so. I don't follow Baba that closely. I know that they are building out a lot of data centers over there too. So maybe, but shorting Oracle here, it seems kind of really dumb.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not the best and brightest of the hyperscalers. I didn't even cover them actually in my last article, but I think that that's a mistake. And then Nebius, it might be again mostly like just they're a little bit ahead of themselves, and maybe there's something that'll happen during earnings, like that they'll be behind the Vineland project, and as a result, it'll be a little more expensive because they're switching from the Bergen engines over to the Bloom Energy ones, and it's just a tactical thing. But it doesn't seem like that. What he's saying, did you read anything that he said on some of these reasons why he's
No,
bearish
I
there?
haven't read I need to do a full video about the reasons why, but I haven't read them. Go ahead.
Yeah, he
Oh
he
yeah, I read
blocked
this.
me,
I
by
read
the way. Let me do this here. He blocked me sometime in the last 3 months, and man, I don't know why. I've been nothing but cordial to him. I haven't even interacted with him that much in the last 3 months. I think almost none. Just because a lot of things he was putting out was just not really worth any attention at all. Like he writes beautifully. Some of his reasoning is really interesting. I'm like, I hadn't thought of it that way. Let me consider that, and that's really valuable. But this is weird. So he's taking two different figures here, and so this is the readout from Apollo. He said data center capex adds 1.7 percentage points in just 2 years, from 1.4% of GDP in 2025 to 3.1% in 2027, or roughly 0.85 percentage points a year. Housing's quickest phase from 5.1% to 2002 to 6.6% in 2005 ran at 0.5 percentage points a year, and telecoms is around 0.15. The AI cycle is building at close to twice the pace of housing boom at its fastest. For me, like, and I know he's quoting this, but it feels like he is basically comparing like AI growth to like energy drink growth, and they're like so dissimilar. I don't understand the point. Housing is always cyclical. It just is. And instead, he's ignoring the AI is basically like the internet, that you've never seen the demand. Like even when the dot-com bubble burst, and it was very much a bubble, this, when you have the Mag 7, which is leading the charge on this, trading in forward price to earnings, some are under 20. Maybe not this week because they ran up so hard, but actually Meta for sure is. It's not a bubble. It doesn't look like a bubble by any measure, other than just a lot of growth and a lot of capex. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bubble. But he says it runs in reverse, and so basically, like, he's trying to argue that this is way too ahead of itself. It's added way too much to the GDP. What goes up must come down, like gravity. And I don't know. Is this, does this strike you as just him fundamentally misunderstanding what AI is? Because he's not a dumb guy, or is it just classic short attack where let's throw spaghetti at the wall, let's throw all kinds of crazy arguments out there, which I've seen him do with names that I know well, and let's see what sticks.
Yeah, here's what I'll say on the Burry short is similar to his Palantir short. This one equally makes very little to no coherent sense. I agree with you that comparing the AI build out from a data center perspective to housing and telecom is the wrong way to go about it. First of all, housing and telecom, both of these are localized, right? Like housing, you're measuring it in the US. It's super, hardware intensive, which data center build out is as well. Like I understand the association there, but it's adding value to those who are in the US versus AI having that build out. It demands a higher premium because it can add value to the world internationally. It's funny. I never thought I would say this sentence, Roy, but I believe like I'm closer to what Trump said this week around AI than I am to what Burry said around AI. Because Trump, on the other hand, who's like 80 plus years old, by the way, came out and he said data centers are going to become more important than oil, warning that Texas is making a big mistake by opposing their construction, saying, quote, AI is many times bigger than the internet. Burry, on the other hand, he is over here comparing the AI data center build out to housing and telecom. So, like, these are completely apples and oranges. This is very retroactive thinking where he's looking at the past, 50 years, trying to forecast the next 50 years, not understanding that we are on the precipice of a paradigm shift and AI is ushering in that new wave of efficiency and productivity. And not to mention that the reason the hyperscalers are hyperscalers is because they capitalized on this international demand. Apple sells to 100 plus countries. Facebook, everybody around the world can have a Facebook account. AI is the same. It's going to be built on top of that. And of course, it's going to demand a premium because it's software, it's high margin, and it's international in terms of the scope, the total addressable market. Housing, it's only in the US. Like he's comparing it to US housing. It's completely backwards and it's downright silly. Like it's I don't know. I strongly disagree with it. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some great comments in your chat too. Coltron says if Burry has Baba, maybe he's convinced China will win the AI power race. If he believes that, I mean, I doubt it, but I mean, like, you can argue that's a fair argument. This housing thing is like so silly. Some others in your chat are saying, hey, basically, you're an influencer of this level. You make a post, goes down 15 to 20%, rinse, repeat.
So
like
this I do believe. I believe that Burry knows, he's smart enough to realize that his commentary still carries weight in the market. If he goes short Palantir, Palantir will fall. If he goes short Oracle, Oracle will fall. If he goes short NBIS, well, NBIS was down about 10% on the day that he went short NBIS. I think that he is leveraging his notoriety, let's call it, to move the stock, and that will make him a quick trade. And he could be out of his short as of this recording for all we know, Roy. Like he could fully have entered the short 2 days ago, exited it right now, and he would have made good money on it, honestly, because Nebius has been down 15% in the past couple of days on the back of this news largely.
Mostly, yeah. Yeah, James asked, so on Nebius and on Palantir, it feels like that those, in Palantir is a little while ago, I think he's still short. Maybe he'll say that he's out. Maybe he is. I do know he exited some. It feels like he picked those names just because they were so retail heavy.
Retail favorite
and maybe on valuation.
Yes.
Oracle doesn't feel like that. And so James asked there, why did Burry short Oracle when it was over 300? I have no idea. I was not bullish on Oracle then. Like I took Oracle in the draft because I'm like, the market is misunderstanding this, and it feels like Burry is as well. And that's not really a retail name. So it's a little bit strange to know like what's real versus what's not. But yeah, it's fascinating and so much in data center land. We're going to talk earnings just briefly as well. But on the Texas thing, well, actually, you've got a donation. You want to hit that first?
Yeah, we have several donations that we've been ignoring, actually. Maybe let's start all the way up at this one. Lincoln Invest 2 Swiss francs. When are we getting the AMPG deep dive? That's on your channel, so he's asking you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Lincoln. Yeah, I you know that name better than I do, so I'm going to throw the question right back at you, brother. Yeah, Lincoln followed me in and did his own due diligence. Always do that, guys, on Airtest Systems very early. Made a bucket on it, and AmpG is one that he mentioned, which is why I took it in the draft. It looked interesting, but right now in the middle of earnings season, to be honest, I'm following that more so than like looking and investigating new names. That is one that's on a list to do more due diligence on. Voyager is one where I need to do even more, and there's a couple other names on there too. So, but that's more after earnings call. So once NVIDIA reports, for me, that's the end of the earnings season. That's when I start shifting into research mode.
Yeah. Next donation. Thank you for the $18. I think these are dinars, AED. That's like the Dubai currency. That's UAE currency.
Thank you for that.
What percentage of your portfolios are in the neoclouds combined? Any cap, rank, Nebius, CoreWeave, and IREN? And is it too much to hold all three? Okay, let's start backwards. I don't think it's too much to hold all three. I think Roy would agree to that. In terms of ranking, it depends on what valuation versus quality. I would say Nebius, CoreWeave, and IREN, like that's the correct ranking in my mind. You could argue CoreWeave is still number one from a valuation perspective, but CoreWeave has climbed from 60 to $90.
He's asking what percent.
Yeah, I'm working backwards.
Okay.
I'm working backwards. Do you have any issues with the ranking?
Uh, I would rank CoreWeave first just because of valuation too. So I agree with you. Nebius is amazing, but above 200, it's relative to where CoreWeave it's ahead of itself. Iron is attractive on a valuation standpoint, but less attractive in terms of leadership and execution. So yeah, I'd just do CoreWeave, Nebius, Iron, not in terms of quality, but mixing quality and valuation.
All right. So now, last question: what percentage of your portfolios are the neo clouds combined? I only hold CoreWeave and Nebius, similar to Roy. Neither of us hold Iron.
Yeah, I don't
And
even own Nebius now. So
oh,
yeah, Burry shorted it, and so did I. No, I'm just kidding. I did.
oh,
Remember, I invested in Nebius because you kept talking about it, and it fell to like $70, and I'm like, okay.
yeah.
And then it blew past my like 150, 160 strike for covered calls. I'm like, okay, and I'll buy CoreWeave now. So
Yeah. So what percentage is CoreWeave for you, Roy?
it's like 23% because it's done really well. And
Yeah,
I've added.
for me, in shares, I'm not counting the options because I have to open up my brokerage to actually see what they're worth. But just for shares, it's about 30%. I have about 26% in Nebius and about 4% in CoreWeave. So 30% of the portfolio. Any cap, it's getting up there. Nebius was like over 40% at one point when it climbed close to 300, but just because the stock was running, I wasn't adding any more to it. I think the last time I added Nebius, from a shares perspective, it was under $100. So I haven't been adding shares at all. It's just run quite a bit. So it has an outsized position. Let me get to
Yeah.
some of these other comments.
Well, real quick, let me just say,
Mhm.
like there is. I'm not bearish on Nebius by any means, and if that Burry him thrusting everything against Nebius and some hiccup happens in earnings, but it's not really that bearish, I'd probably pick up Nebius too. I don't know that I'd sell CoreWeave for it, but like
Yeah.
if Nebius trades under 150 and CoreWeave is like where it's at, I still think there's a better value with CoreWeave. But man, Nebius is a great company. They're
Great.
really, really positioned well.
Yeah, and I mean, we can talk at some point about maybe we'll talk on Monday about earnings coming up for Nebius because it's Wednesday morning, and we can also talk on Monday because Rocket Lab will have just reported earnings when we do bootleg. So that's
Yeah.
two topics right there. Let me just read some of these comments very quick. Nick says Burry is just a market manipulator at this point because he knows he's going to get attention. Housing and telecom are super limited by historical figures, apples and oranges. I agree with this comment entirely. Nick also says put a short on Nebius. Make a post stating that it's going to crash. Watch it dip 15 to 20%. Close your short close out your position and repeat. He can just keep saying, I was right, but he is only right because the market is moving based on the FUD that he is selling. This is similar to when a politician like Nancy Pelosi or when Warren Buffett gets into a position, that position jumps like 30% overnight. It's just the reverse of that, basically. And unfortunately, it's also what short sellers do. Like Citron will come out with a short report on something and it will sell off and ask questions later. And in many cases, that's an opportunity. Nobody is arguing that Nebius is cheap right now by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, I don't see a lot of arguments that Nebius is an absolutely, poorly run company that's going to go to zero. Like, yes, you could argue it has a premium, but many people will happily pay that premium for a reason. So for Burry, I agree that it's temporary. I agree that he's going to be exiting the short soon. I don't know if I would want to hold a short on Nebius over earnings. And yes, I agree that he is leveraging his status and notoriety to essentially push the stock down or to will it down, let's call it. It's short-term noise. I don't really view it too heavily, nor does it affect my investing thesis in Nebius.
A touch on Erica's donation there, and then I want to touch just a little bit more on Nebius and CoreWeave and earnings. One question on that.
Okay, let me get to Erica, but first there's Jack, $10. Thank you, Jack, saying hi, Tevis, or hi, guys. 10 days ago, Tevis was pro ServiceNow, buying it for August. This is correct. 2 weeks ago, a full pro ServiceNow video, long-term hold push. Since then, out totally. Now, today, open to it one day. Buckle up. Yeah, look, man, I mean, I've been pretty transparent about why my thoughts on ServiceNow changed. Look, I'm not bearish on the company. I would still be happily holding it if I had extra cash. I just wanted to take advantage of that position or that dip on the last week of July, and ServiceNow was really the only thing that was a short-term swing in my position. I wasn't really going to sell, you know, stuff that I had in my long-term portfolio for CoreWeave and for Rocket Lab. CoreWeave and Rocket Lab are also swings, right? So, like I'm saying, I'm pro ServiceNow still. I still believe ServiceNow is going to climb higher. But even if you look at my video back in June, I mentioned very transparently in every single video I've done on ServiceNow that this was a swing trade for me. I'm looking to enter under 100 and exit at 140. It's at 125 right now. I still think that it's going to go to 140. So I'm not changing that stance at all. I'm just saying that there was better opportunities. And the trade was transparent, posted about it. I posted, the returns. You can look them up yourself since that day. And they're doing better than ServiceNow is doing. So that's all I'm saying. It doesn't change my bullishness on ServiceNow, nor the direction that I believe it's going to go, nor does it change my desire to be in ServiceNow at all. Sometimes you got to do that stuff.
Well, one of many things I respect about you is you're always transparent with what you're doing. You don't like try to hide or lie that you hadn't changed any. Like things change, your position changes, the way you're thinking, or you reduce or add to your position. You share it. So kudos.
Yeah, look, man, I think the transparency is a double-edged sword because you can definitely eat some, dirt, let's call it, when you make these calls and people remember them from a year or 2 years or 3 years ago. I had somebody post the other day around like some BM&R posts that I made that were bullish when BM&R was like 45 bucks. I was like, oh, it's going to go higher and this and that. And it didn't, right? It absolutely didn't. And look, I'm sad about it more than some people who are calling me out in the comments because while they're getting the proverbial, like, I showed him, I'm sitting on like a ton of losses. I'm holding bags for that position. And so whether I'm talking about a company positively or negatively, generally speaking, I will put my own money behind it and I'll be very transparent about at what point did I enter and at what point did I exit. All right, Eric, $25. Geez, thank you so much, Erica. Really appreciate you being here and supporting the channel, and yeah, very glad that you're here, and thank you very much.
And throw up kryptonites, and then one more thing on CoreWeave and NBIS, and then we'll hit the Q&A.
CoreWeave has twice as much backlog as SpaceX. Dude, I'm drowning in the comments this time around. We have a lot of people here. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. Really, really appreciate you guys. Shorts are usually nimble. They don't hang around for a long time. Hit and run, in and out. Yeah, thank you, Erica. Tevis missed out on now money. Yeah, man, but, money's money, bro. It's green all around, whether you make it from Rocket Lab and CoreWeave or whether you make it from ServiceNow. It doesn't discriminate.
And throw up the one from Kryptonite and one more on
at what minute did Kryptonite? Oh, Kryptonite
is a donation.
Thank you,
Ferguson.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Ferguson got in the S&P 500 this week. This is one that like 3 years ago people were like, "Hey, it deserves it." I actually predicted it a number of times. It never got in, so congrats to shareholders. Reports Monday. I think buy on any earnings dips as funds have to buy it. It's one that I've not looked into in like 6 to 9 months, like in any great detail. I'm not even sure where the stock is, so I don't know enough about it. But yeah, Kryptonite, if you're holding it, congratulations on the S&P 500 inclusion. Like that company, well deserved. I'm actually surprised it took this long, but sometimes it does. SoFi's day will come likewise, but it can take a while, longer than you expect. So thank you for the donation. On CoreWeave and NBIS, just because we put it in the earnings title, we put it in the title. I know that we're going to talk more about earnings on Monday because CoreWeave does report Tuesday night and NBIS on Wednesday morning. What do you think the market is looking for with these names right now? Or is there anything that you think would like trigger it to run up versus just collapse?
Did this just come out, this news?
I don't know.
Let me know if Mormon, let me know more. Yeah, Mormon, let me know if this just came out. What am I expecting with CoreWeave and NBIS? I'm expecting a lot of commentary around the macro, Roy, and potentially another hyperscaler contract. Did you see the rumors today around NBIS and Google?
I didn't.
Well, I'll make a video about it. And but it's your bestie, Jim Liu, who posted about it and potential partnership about CoreWeave and Google.
You mean NBIS? or CoreWeave?
Sorry, Nebius. What am I saying?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm bookmarking that just so I don't. Oh yeah, now I see it. Wow,
Yeah.
33 billion.
Tevis never upset, just getting over the whiplash. Tevis has made it before. Yeah, honestly, Jack, I really am happy, genuinely, man, that you're making money on service now, even though I'm not in it. Like, obviously, I'm super. Like, I know that you said in an earlier comment that you sort of like, followed me in there, or at least bought around the same time, and I'm just really happy you're making money, man. Like, it's all love. Um, take your tops off, Matt said. Matt, I will see you in person very shortly. So that's gonna be fun. Can we go to the Q&A unless you have
Yeah,
other?
I was just gonna say I'll do an earnings preview on CoreWeave and I'll throw in some Nebius as well, just because there's some interesting things that I'm looking for. But I think one thing that the market would like to know a little bit more clearly, because it keeps shifting around. Like the backlog, that's awesome. CoreWeave's gonna kill it. I think Nebius will do just fine. They'll want updates on projects and where they're at. CoreWeave will be just fine. The Vineland project, I think that'd be really essential for Nebius to give a very clear update on. I'm sure that they'll say that it's just fine. I hope that it is. And even if it's not, like it's a small delay. It's not a huge deal. But I think that the market has two things that they'd like to hear. One is on competition, because when you hear, Meta Compute, that's a new thing since last earnings call. SpaceX selling their compute and having designs on 20 gigawatts. The EU launching, they're really tiny, but they think it's huge. AI play as well with data centers. A lot more competition. I think that they want to hear like, okay, is this validating the thesis, or is this just going to commoditize much faster than we expect? And second, where are we at in terms of the profitability curve? Is that being kicked further down the road because you're ramping up this even more? Bonds are rising as far as the yields, so it makes it maybe a little bit further off. They, I think, need a little bit more clarity on that. But beyond that, like, it's hard for me to look at these names, well, especially CoreWeave, and be like, oh yeah, the market's just going to sell that off. Like something would really have to go wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I think both are gonna do fairly well. Of course, we're gonna have to wait and see. CoreWeave reports before Nebius, right?
Yeah, a Tuesday night. Yeah, so it's back to back. Tuesday night, CoreWeave, Wednesday morning, Nebius. So I will try to do the Tuesday one live.
Yeah, him's earnings on Monday. Tuesday night, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be live Wednesday morning for Nebius. I have a team event on Tuesday night, so I got to take my team out to celebrate a good quarter. So I won't be around for that. But
I got to reach out to Tanner. We talked earlier about doing the CoreWeave earnings together, so I think that's the plan right now. So
yeah. All right. We have 67 comments bookmarked. That is a channel record for this show. I apologize, guys, because we're not taking any more questions. I don't think we're going to be able to get through all of these. We will try. Roy, we got to be quick about it. And we're about an hour and 3 minutes in, officially starting the Q&A right now. Yeah, 67 comments to go. No, I'm taking them to trivia and Nick. So we're going to trivia on Tuesday. We're gonna have a nice dinner, first, and then we're gonna go to trivia. B Martin says, I think Roy's stream may have crashed.
Looks like it's up. Yeah, stream health looks good.
All right.
Oh, maybe it has. It dropped off.
All right. Well, while Roy takes a look at that, let me go and answer a question. Yeah. So, what do you think about CoreWeave? What do you think CoreWeave goes into earnings at? At what price? Honestly, like I think with CoreWeave, by the time they go into earnings in 2 days, I think we could be at some local highs around 94. I think the anticipation is going to be high. Hold on, Roy. Let me drop your screen, bro. Kick.
Yeah, looks like it was my stream did crash and now it's back up and running, I think. So
yeah, I would say CoreWeave around 93, $94 by Tuesday end of day. If we have a good, probably more likely it's going to be around 90 because we might have like one good day, one bad day, whatever.
Yeah. No, the hard thing is it's near its 50-day moving average. So we'll see. Like I think if the market has a couple more green days in it, Monday usually starts off green and then fades. If it doesn't, we could see CRWV at $100 entering earnings. Otherwise, I think about where it's at.
Yeah. Jack donated $10 to Roy's channel. I vow never to watch The Big Short until Burry gets out of his NBIS position. That dude cost me some dead presidents this week. Yeah, bro, he might be out of his position already. So you can celebrate this weekend with a.
Yeah, I've not seen The Big Short since he shorted Palantir in Nvidia, and I think, man, it's hard to, with some of the things he's shilling out there, like to have the same view of him. But yeah, good movie, great movie actually.
Yeah, I thought you said you hadn't seen The Big Short like at all. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, I've seen it a couple times. So
yeah, let me just drop all these donations here, and okay, it's working now. Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico, depends on who you ask. Let me Gulf of America, Erica says. So
there you
I like that. That's the one I'm going with. All right, let's go into this question. Do we think BMNR is finally bound to slowly start moving? Had back-to-back bullish closes for the week. Looks like it wants 20. I agree. I think it looks like it wants 20. Unfortunately, the Clarity Act got pushed back in September. I don't think it's going to close in 2026, that it's going to get passed into law. But the market has largely priced that in. And as we know, crypto is cyclical. I mean, Roy, this has been your thesis the entire time that Ethereum is going to start to slowly come back. Last year, August and September were like huge breakout months. And if this year is a repeat of that, then you could be in for a really nice ride on the BMNR train.
Yeah, usually there's some weakness with before midterms, and in September there are exceptions like last year. So, but I do think by the end of the year, probably be a good bit higher.
Yeah, and look, BMNR over the past month or so has climbed from $12 to $19. A lot of people have made money on BMNR, but the overwhelming majority of people are still holding bags on BMNR because last year at this time it was around $40 a share. So there's still a long way for it to go. Ethereum is going to be leading the way on that one. If Ethereum climbs over 2,000 and holds those gains this time around, then BMNR, especially with their buyback strategy, that's going to be the other thing that we have to look out for, is they've bought about 16 million shares back. If they continue buying back shares, about 4 to 6 million shares weekly, that's going to be super accretive to them. Their MNAV is back to 1 right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's helpful, but that does come at a cost with the preferred equity that they're issuing too. So, but yeah, it's things are starting to move, and for Ethereum as well. So,
yeah, guys, some of these questions are very good. We won't have time to get to them. That's the only problem. So I'm just not bookmarking them. But at the end of the show, if we run out of the questions early, then I'll start answering questions in real time there. Nick, sipping some tea instead of Celsius. Glad you're holding strong. Yeah, thanks, man. My challenge for August was no alcohol, no energy drinks, small workouts daily, and yeah, tea is a good replacement, I guess. Is Herzegovina a good place to visit? Absolutely. I think, yeah, Bosnia Herzegovina is a great place. How is the no energy drink, more workouts been so far? It's been good. I mean, it's been slow, but it's just getting started, right? I'm just trying to get through these like small ones. Have I started the working out? Yes, but like small, 10-minute, 15-minute home workouts. Nothing that's going to make a real change. Just trying to like get a little bit back into the habit. What thing about SoFi and Robinhood's business gives you confidence to be able to hold it for 5 years? Besides Noto and Vlad leaving, what would be one thing that would make you dump the stock?
Well, with Robinhood, I can say it's their speed, like the execution that they have. I think that they're leaders in so many ways, very vertically integrated, and they ship faster than anybody in fintech. They really do. Like you might name like one or two companies that are comparable. Like Shopify is very, very good, but they're ridiculous cadence, ridiculous talent that's there, and it goes much deeper than Vlad. So even Vlad leaving would not make me dump the stock. Noto and SoFi, they're growing members rapidly, and the products that they're offering for the flywheel keep getting better and better. They're getting better at cross selling, and SoFi Plus seems like it's one of those just It's working very, very well. So it's hard to look at that when they're growing more members in a quarter than, or actually in 2 months than what there were members for SoFi when Noto came into the company, like period. Like they're growing by a whole SoFi when Noto came in 2 months. It's crazy. Um, Even him leaving, I don't know that that would make me necessarily bearish. It depends who they brought in. But like obviously, like if they're stumbling in execution, like one thing with Robinhood, I don't love Robinhood Social. Like it seems like maybe it'll work out, but they put a lot of time and energy into that. If they're building a bunch of things where I'm like, these things don't really make sense, or if it seems clear for whatever reason, like there's no international opportunity at all for Robinhood, that might make me consider it not a generational company, but still a good investment. And at some point, I might trim. SoFi, I'm not really sure. We'd have to see some like really either that they are just doing some silly things as far as execution, and they're just not. They're executing a little bit faster than normal. I don't think they're generational. I think they're a good company though. Anything that would cause you shake your confidence in those?
I think if the growth story turned around, right now we know they're reinvesting into growth, and that's leading to a sustained over 40% growth rate. And with many segments still ramping up, big business banking being one of them, obviously loan platform business now that they expanded it out of the personal loan side exclusively into home equity and SMB. If the growth were to dwindle and they have no real justification or reason for it, they could obviously lower the growth if they want to focus on profitability and make the numbers look good for the market. But they're actively investing on the growth as well. Obviously, any sort of like catastrophic change to the story would be the big consideration. But I think right now we've seen a lot of terrific execution, and that's what makes me bullish. I mean, look, you nailed the main one, Connor, around Vlad or Noto leaving, because those leaders are truly a big reason that these companies are doing so well.
Yep.
Let's move on. Find an American or European wife yet? No. Is NBIS selling off for Burry or for Citadel? I think Burry personally. I think we talked a little bit about this. Neither of us own Celsius. I saw that they reported earnings recently as well. Let's go on to our next question. SoFi had a strong close today. Do we think we start seeing 20 plus, especially with the macro easing a bit? Yes. Here you go, Roy. I'll let you lead.
Yeah, here's the rate cut probabilities, or rate hike probabilities, rather. And so now 21% are saying, hey, we're probably just stand and put. 44% say one rate hike. I think that's pretty reasonable. I called out when the numbers, you can look at where the numbers were even a week ago. I was like, this is way too high of a probability of rate hikes, especially 2 rate hikes. And now, because of the jobs numbers being pretty weak for the report, that's why they shifted so much here over the last day. But that helps a lot. Again, SoFi guided with 2 rate hikes. I don't think we're getting 2. And I think that the market will increasingly realize that as time goes on. There's only 3 Fed meetings left. So if he doesn't raise in September, it's not impossible, but it's extremely unlikely that we get 2 rate hikes. Extremely. And I don't know that they're raising in September.
Yeah. And look, guys, who was the one who was consistently saying, I don't think the Fed is going to hike rates? I was on this bandwagon before it was popular because it is counterintuitive for them to raise rates only to lower them the next meeting or even 6 months later. I think I love the fact that the jobs numbers came in the way that they did and the market rallied off the back of like bad news, because it helps Warsh not be backed into a corner to raise rates. And it helps SoFi because if they're guiding for 2 rate hikes and we in fact get, no rate hikes, the results are going to be materially better than what they've guided for. And it allows them a lot of buffer room to raise guidance. Now, here's the key catalyst. Okay. SoFi did not raise guidance in the beginning of the year in January because they went from 2 cut expectations to 2 hike expectations. Now that the baseline is going to go from 2 hike expectations, maybe to 1 or to 0, the next guidance raise is going to be material, in my personal opinion, because they're going to have a lot of buffer room for that as they adjust their macro guidance expectations from a rate perspective. And I think that obviously we'll see in September, because SoFi reports in October. We're not going to get a hike in September, is my personal opinion, more so today than ever before. So I think it's all going to be good stuff for SoFi. All right,
Yeah.
let's keep moving here. Oh, by the way, guys, so this did come out. Definitely not sharing that tab, but this tab. This did come out. Goldman Sachs reports 7.2% stake in NBIS, owning about 15.8 million shares of the company. So it is in fact real, and yeah, we're getting filings. Also, let me know if you guys like this new camera setup or if I should go back to the old one. I saw somebody in on X saying they like it, but let me know what you guys think. All right, let's go into this question. Top 3 items on NBIS earnings wish list. Google deal. A raise of their 7 to 9 billion expectations, which I think that's going to happen this time around, and announcement of all the new data centers, which I think that's going to happen. But Google deal is probably the main one. Maybe Anthropic deal, honestly. It depends on what the time frame is, but if you're thinking about this week, then those 3.
Do they? I've only listened to 2 earnings calls over the last 2 years with NBIS. Do they usually jog my memory? Do they usually announce deals during earnings, or is that
Meta, they announced
never
at
issue?
earnings.
No, I mean NBIS.
Meta, they announced at earnings.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Meta announces it, so it is like, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I couldn't remember any others, but and that one, yeah, I had forgotten when they announced it. So thank you.
Question for Roy. What do you expect from Figure earnings next week? Great question, Nick. Thank you.
Yeah, we have the monthly metrics on a lot of these, and not just monthly, but you can see the dashboards and see things growing. Analysts are expecting, and I think they're pretty close because again, they have most of the numbers, about 120% revenue growth year over year. Because I mean, they're just like destroying things. So the question is like, is the market just being silly with Figure? I think so. There's a little bit overhang from crypto winter, even though the market's completely wrong about that. But it is a crypto name. They just don't care about the price of crypto. The market doesn't understand. There's maybe some overhang too because of the rates. But same thing as SoFi. I think it's be really good. But as far as earnings, amazing numbers. I think that this might be one of those where the market just kind of forgot about it and like, oh yeah, that thing exists. How much is it growing? What are they expecting to grow the rest of the time? Ridiculous. There's so, I haven't sold any Figure. I've actually added a number of leaps and I'm up on those. But I don't have any more money to invest other than like a couple $1,000. So it's like, it's tough. CRWV is still a buy. Figure is still a screaming buy. Just for a long term.
Voyager Figure. Roy's knows a lot about shitcodes. Didn't think he was a massive D10. Yeah, I mean, he's made money.
People said the same thing about Palantir
and Air Test Systems.
2022. And
Air Test Systems as well. Prince, you forgot that one, but that one, oh boy, is that still your biggest position, by the way?
No, it's Robinhood is, and also people were saying that about Robinhood too in 2023. I was like one of like 5 dudes that was pounding the table about Robinhood, and even I was like, it's a good swing trade. I wasn't thinking generational.
Do you think Hood hits highs this year? It's a better company today than when it was trading at 153. Yes, no.
It's going to come close. I'll say no, but it's close.
I'll stick with that answer. No, but it's what? Yeah, 153.
Yeah, that's a lot. That'd be a lot.
It's a big gap. Do you see ServiceNow going back around 100? I exited my calls around 115. It could. It definitely could. I think if the software narrative gets hit, if we see largely the market rotating back into the semi trade, like if Micron catches a bid back to like 1100, then I can see ServiceNow going back around 100. Or if we get a macro thing, like if Iran heats up or something like that, it can definitely go back down. Again, to my earlier point that I've said in multiple pods now, like the market will give you opportunities, whether it's ServiceNow or something else. I think overall, though, from a fundamental perspective, the trend is up and to the right for ServiceNow. So I'm not betting against them. I'm not, writing puts or anything by any means. But in the short term, anything could happen. Which one surprises most in terms of positive for CRWV and NBIS? I think CRWV, because so much negativity has been priced into it.
Yes. Yeah. and that backlog is going to be amazing. And also their ARR, like we've had some reads on it, and the market's ignored meaningfully ahead.
Yeah.
I'll do a preview this weekend.
Who are good follows on X for updates, news on CoreWeave? The X community for CoreWeave seems much smaller than that of NBIS.
Yeah, certified AI dev. He doesn't post much. He's been more of a reply guy, but he's actually the one that created our competition.
Yeah,
ratings,
we'll go
which
to
look a lot
Jim.
better. We're all positive now. But yeah, he's
We'll
starting to post. And
sorry.
also Jim Liu. He is not a CoreWeave bull, but he is an Iron Bull. He likes CoreWeave. He likes NBIS, but he posts a lot about them. Very deep understanding. If there's not a lot of like dedicated CoreWeave guys, I'm about as close as it comes, and I post a lot about it, but it's not like super deep level, other than just like here or there. So, by the way,
yeah, let me actually. Okay, hold on. Keep it up. Keep it up. I'll go to the question around this. Who has hood in the stock draft? Let's look at the stock draft.
this guy.
Yes, and it's down from where I
Yeah.
bought it. So
Yeah, your number one pick is down, and you're up 12% and just trouncing us. I mean, like you guys went really heavy into the AI trade, but not just the AI trade, like Ondas, like that's amazing. Yeah, it just like even some of these, like the long that you were given is working out. Poet, the long for the microcap is working out. Even the short is not killing you. So
yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a long year, right? It's not deterministic that just because I'm in the number one slot right now that I'm going to continue to be in the number one slot a month from now. Obviously, Nate is very close by, and I know Roy, yourself as well. Like CoreWeave and NBIS both reporting earnings this week is going to be pretty big.
Yeah.
Andrew asks, what are your biggest degen trades that worked and that didn't? Ooh, good question.
I'd say BMNR probably. I don't know how degen, but I did some vertical spreads and some leaps. Like I don't regret buying the shares. Like obviously, well, I made money on it too, but overall, I'd say I'm down on BMNR by a decent clip, and it's mostly because of the leaps and the vertical spreads. Thankfully, I got out of those like in the 30s, just because I'm like, hey, it looks like we're entering winter. Let me go ahead and take those off the table. The biggest degen trade that I guess people know is AMC Squeeze in 2021. I did a 4X, sold, and I was like, hey, that's awesome. But the one that people don't know is I shorted through puts, like naked puts, C3AI back in 2023 and 2024, a couple of times, because I'm like, dude, the market is just idiotic with this name. It doesn't understand, like the retail's all over it, and they think it's an amazing company, and it's not. Tom Siebel was just, he's great at selling. He's kind of like Mark Benioff in Salesforce. Like I see the same thing, except Salesforce is a legit business. It's not a great one. And C3AI was just vaporware. And I'm like, okay, and then a short report came out. Like it was one of those where I think I was right about the company. Actually, I know, like it's worked out that way. But a short report came out like within a week on one of those shorts, and it tanked by 20%. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
is awesome.
didn't C3AI like rebrand like 3 times? I think that was the first sign.
They got a great ticker though. Ticker AI.
Yeah.
Don't like be careful about investing in those guys.
I think from a percentage perspective, it's probably having, or let's say from a percentage relative to time frame. I remember back in 2021, I bought a bunch of aggressive short dated calls on CoreWeave back when it was CCIV, and that made like a 10x in 2 weeks, super small amounts. But the biggest degen trade from an actual dollars perspective would have to be selling deep in the money cash secured puts on NBIS back when it was at $70 and I was selling $115 puts for 2 months out and capturing like $45-50 of premium. That was incredibly degenerate of me, and I was totally able to breathe easier once NBIS climbed over 100 and I closed all of those out. I would say the biggest one that didn't work out is again on the BMNR train. I entered it with some options as well that pretty much have gone to zero, but that's fine. I think overall, like still up over 60% on the year. So, okay, let's move on. Big Biofraud says, "How are we doing? Everything good, Tevis? Hopefully, no more Irish goodbyes." Dude, last stream I like got incredibly sick, and I was like, I don't want to, I need to end the stream right now. And I think you guys started to see it in my face. You're like, "Why are you so pale? Are you okay? What's going on?" And I don't know, maybe something I ate or something, but that was not fun. Let's see. Okay. In July, I was down nearly 30% from all-time highs, now back to all-time highs. Did you guys experience the same volatility in your high beta portfolio? Absolutely. Yeah, I hit, I think, new all-time highs last week, I want to say, or maybe early this week. But yeah, the portfolio was definitely down quite a bit in the end of July. So, but look, it helped that both of us took advantage of that pullback, and we didn't sell anything, and we actually were buyers into that downfall.
Yeah, for sure.
NBIS up or down after earnings? Got to pick one.
I'm gonna say down just for where the stock price is at, but man, it's hard to say.
I'll take up. Why not? And we'll regroup next Friday. What do you do when you're up big on the year? I'm up 32%. It's my business account. Just started this year. I needed 5%. My goal was 10%. Yeah, I would say de-risk. If you're already past your goal and you kind of won't sleep easy, you feel uncomfortable, then de-risk, man. It's the same thing for me, right? Like I'm up quite a bit this year. If I were to sell everything and just chill until the end of December, this would be a very successful year for me. Like it's something that's been contributing to my thought process around, having a 50% tax on my own profitable trades to go into SPY or going more into Amazon and Meta as opposed to like YOLOing all in on NBIS or things like this. So once you reach your number, then I think you're okay to de-risk. You've done very, very well for yourself. 32% is higher than the index. So that's how I would go about it personally. McDonald's, no, they just say M's on them. It's not from.
It does look like McDonald's.
Are either of you tempted or thinking about doing more leaps on SoFi? Tevis, keen to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah, so my leaps that I wrote on SoFi are down, believe it or not. And look, I think going into 2027, the setup is really favorable for SoFi because if we go into a rate cut environment in 27, or at least that's what the market is going to start pricing in, SoFi is going to benefit in conjunction with the fact that their business lines are also improving and that this year might be more favorable, not to mention S&P 500 inclusion. I think leaps on SoFi definitely make sense, and they're priced very lucratively for you to be able to do them. I was actually thinking even today to add to some of my leaps for SoFi. I have $25 calls for January 2028. I also have $18 calls and $15 calls for that same strike. And some are up, some are down, but they're mostly flat-ish, even though I wrote them months ago. So I'm bullish on leaps for SoFi personally, but obviously know the risks associated with leaps.
Yeah, I still have some $10 strike options for January, which are up massively because I bought them in single digits. I'll have to figure out what I already sold a bunch for profit and along the way, and the rest of my. I'll have to see where we're at. Probably I'll wait until after like early January, usually Santa Rally, and then you're into usually some nice green days to start the year. And about then is where I have to figure out where SoFi's at, and if I want to convert those to shares, just take the profits or just buy some more leaps.
Yeah. Who thinks we're starting to have a market where you got a triple beat and raise guidance or you'll get punished? Yeah, a lot is getting priced in. That's just a sign that the market is maybe a little bit frothy. One thing I've been looking at consistently this week, guys, has been the fear and greed index. We're at a 64 the last time I checked earlier today, and in greed territory, right? So you got to be careful. Citadel really pumped everybody's bags over the past week, except for Leopold's, let's say, or maybe especially Leopold's. But the point is that if you want to take some profits and sit on some cash for a while, and if that's going to make you sleep better at night, then definitely consider that, because we are in greed territory. If we go to extreme greed, I'll probably be cutting, some of my positions down, because it's not clear skies. You're heading into midterms.
Yeah.
What stock price market cap does SoFi have to be to qualify for S&P? I think it has to be like over $18 or 18.50 ish. It's about $22 billion market cap ish.
Yeah, that's about right.
I thought Tevis bought a bunch now recently, and he wasn't going to sell until it hit 140. That was the original plan. Plans change, but I still think it's going to go to 140. Are the big banks keeping space? Okay, so this is a good question. Thank you, Matthew, for this question. This is a good one. I think yes. This might be a contrarian take or a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I think there's a lot of sell pressure from the insiders to be letting go of their shares after the lockup expiration window comes to an end. And SpaceX has been the number one retail favorite stock that, especially because it's an Elon company as well, retail has been plowing into this. It didn't make sense to me how it's been up so heavily over the past couple of days. I mean, sure, you could argue like the news and the NVIDIA exclusivity and the earnings are the main reason, but I do think there's something going on here where it's very possible that these institutions are propping it up to lure retail into a bull trap or something to that effect. Now, this is why I say it's contrarian, because a lot of people are very adamant about SpaceX and the thesis and the story there. And so this is going to sound like a pretty negative take. I just would proceed with caution. Obviously, I'm not buying SpaceX personally at these levels. I've already come out on the record saying I think it's overvalued. I think it's going to go under 100. Personally, if it goes higher, if it goes to 200, then so be it. But I think, yeah, there's something fishy going on with SpaceX because of so much sell pressure that's going to be hitting the open markets in the next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah, I mean that just because there's an IPO unlock isn't always mean that the stock goes down. A lot of people are like, "Nope, I'm not going to sell," but there is selling pressure added usually, whether it influences the stock or not, but it tends to. I'll take the other side of that. I don't know that it's big banks. I think Elon Premium is a real thing, and that's more with retail than it is with big banks. And also SpaceX, like it was a good report. They have diversified their revenue by quite a bit by taking advantage of what's happening with the data center stuff. They're pivoting even more into that, and of course, the space race is heating up. So, like, if somebody is buying it now, I think it is extremely rich valuation, and I think there's better opportunities. But if they're like, "Hey, I don't care. I think it's a great company. They're going to do great. I'm holding it for 10 years." I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They're going to make some money.
Sure, they're going to make some money. Let's put it that way. I mean, you're
I mean,
buying
like
this thing.
space is a big TAM, and then the data center play is very, very compelling. I mean, that's why we're in CRWV and NBIS. So I don't think it's a ridiculous thing. Like by some money, I'm not saying like, hey, you might double in 10 years. It's like, no, you might have a 3x, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy to me, man, how like you can steel man, or at least try to steel man, the fact that you're buying this company at a trillion plus valuation, whatever it's trading right now, 1.5 trillion, something like that, and still think it's going to go much higher with the current fundamentals that they have. And it's top of mind. They just reported it anyway. So retail has done dumber things, and I'm sure they're going to continue to do dumber things. And a lot of them might make money doing dumb things. So that's not for me to judge. I'm just saying, here's my thoughts. I think it's going to go lower before it goes higher, but time will tell. $50 to Roy's channel. Thank you both for the insights. Been following you about 2 years. Well done on it. Picked SoFi, Palantir, HIMS. Solid leaps gains. Curious if either of you hold HIMS now or fully out.
Yeah, thank you for that donation. We're both fully out. I think I'm more open to owning it at some point in the future, but problem is there's so many buyers in the market. It did seem like that the leadership made some missteps. I am rooting for them as a disruptor in the space. I think it's needed. They're doing some interesting things. It seems like the loss at risk is diminished by a fair bit. And the peptides part really interests me, but like right now, I'm just going to call it where I see it. Like there's things that interest me, but like when there's figure trading below $30, CoreWeave is trading where it's at. So many other names like SoFi, very, very attractive. The crypto names, I think they're about to merge from Crypto Winter, do quite well. It's hard for me to look at HIMS and be like, yeah, I'm going to buy that instead of all these other opportunities. So it's something I keep monitoring, but it's not like top of the list.
Yeah. They report earnings, I think, on Monday after the close. So we're going to have to look. The peptide story is still the main thesis for 2026 and beyond for HIMS. Lawsuits have become a very normalized thing for this company, unfortunately. And it's among the reasons why I'm currently not in it. I think the management aspect is another reason. Paul Cerrito is on board with HIMS. Did he flip from bearish to bullish? That is shocking to me. Let me know if that's what you meant, Elixir, or if I read that wrong. But this guy was like a perma bear on HIMS, if you remember.
Yeah, that's if it's Cerro, Paul Cerro, I think was the guy's name. So
wow, he's flipped bullish. That's shocking.
Okay, I got to look more into that then.
That's
It's
shocking.
when somebody who is just a avid bear, not just like casual and like, maybe it's not going to work out, flips from bearish to bullish. I'm going to read more on that. And I don't have something to write down on. So I'm going to message you right now, Tevis, just so I don't forget.
Interesting. Okay.
Really
Okay.
interesting.
Got it.
Yeah, I'll have to take another look then.
Thank you for that, Elixir, because that I think is some kind of signal that this company is turning around its most staunch critiques.
Yeah.
Tevis is not drinking Celsius. This is correct, Carl. No Celsius for the month of August. It's a trend. Get on board. Celsius has dumped after the earnings because I'm not drinking it. Roy, your mic is quiet. Let's keep going. How can Hood be doing anything but fantastic in this heavy trade environment, especially options volume is crazy nuts? So your thoughts, Roy and Tevis. Thanks. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they posted an all-time high on a number of metrics. By the way, Celsius pumped after it dumped, so it's kind of recovering some. I think the market tends to overdo it and overreact, but I've not been following it closely. But that's going to continue, I think, for Robinhood. Like remember they had the crypto overhang, but the predictions markets revenue eclipsed that. They've launched the Ethereum platform that's looking very, very good. Robinhood chain is looking like ridiculous. Every single week, I'm just like in shock of what it's going to do. And I need to write an article probably in a couple of weeks on that and just give an update. But great company, generational. It's still pretty cyclical, but with how impeccable they are, it's just easy to just buy and hold. Like my entire year with Robinhood, I didn't add to it. I was getting ready to. At $60, I would have bought a ton of leaps. I think it hit 64, 66. Too bad, but it's still my number one position. I don't plan to sell it.
Oh yeah. So the Celsius pump is from Monster CEO takeover. Yeah, he bought a whole bunch of shares. I think I saw this earlier today.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to poison pill themselves, or?
I have no idea. But Monster buying Celsius might be, on the cards. It's interesting, right? Because Celsius bought Alani and Monster buying Celsius. It's like that meme of like the fishes eating each other. Monster's been one of the best performing stocks over the last 2 decades, far surpassing any AI company or any hyperscaler. It's been Monster. It's America runs on Monster. Let's put it that way.
Best energy drink too.
Look, it sort of goes counter to this idea that energy drinks are going to be commoditized. I know you're a big shill around the Costco no-name brand, and exactly.
I've been doing the Alani News, but today I bought the Costco one. So,
yeah, Monster has bucked that trend, right? They're the OG. They have some brand recognition. They have some brand loyalty. So we'll see if Monster ends up buying Celsius. That could be interesting. That could be interesting for sure. The premium that they might pay, especially since Celsius management will have a fiduciary responsibility, and this thing was trading at over $100 at some point. So could be something to look out for. All right, let's keep on going. Chris flipped from bearish to bullish memory and Micron. Chris was bullish on Micron. Mark the top, Zomzom says. Yeah, well, that's interesting. I've never been bearish on Micron, but yeah, it's interesting that speaking of bears flipping to bulls.
I love Chris. He's like, honestly, guys, like, don't be hard on bears. Chris isn't bearish on everything, but he just speaks it as he sees it. You want somebody, whether they're right or wrong, it's great to have somebody that you listen to that, you know, does their research, that thinks through things and pitches things that you've never considered. That's so useful, even if you don't like reading it.
Yeah, apparently, guys, it was the Rockstar CEO, not Monster. So just ignore everything
Yeah.
I had said. How does Kirkland energy drink taste? Like crap, I would imagine. But Roy,
No, the peach is great. It actually tastes like peach, and it's amazing. It's so good.
makes sense.
Celsius's best flavor is peach vibe. This is better. It really is. The blue one, the tropical one, it's good. It's not amazing, I would say. And then the orange one is really mediocre.
Yeah, Nick is throwing jabs because he's saying it tastes basically like a Celsius.
Honestly,
So,
the orange tastes exactly like Celsius, and I think it's terrible. Like for both of them,
mhm.
not terrible. I drink them. They're just okay.
It's cheaper, right?
Oh yeah, like it's like 16 or 17 bucks for a 24 pack.
Really?
Yeah.
That's yeah. It's like 50% the cost. Wow, that's
Yeah.
exciting stuff. Biofraud, love this chat. People can digest the messages. Thank you so much, everybody. I love this chat too. Really, really love this community that we've built here on the bootleg slash Fiesta Friday shows. Let's continue. Do you like Corsair as a future AI play? Thesis on personal AI workstations and the return of the gaming cycle. No, I mean I haven't looked in Corsair in like 4 years. I was in it at some point back in like 2020, but I haven't been in it since. I think I, I would be. No, I don't think I'm interested in Corsair. Like the hardware piece is interesting, but the margins on that business are not great with the gaming side of the business. If they're pivoting to like AI and GPUs, there could be something there because they're fairly sold off by the market. But granted, this is coming from a guy who hasn't looked at Corsair's chart in like 3 years, so I don't even know what they're trading at right now. But
They're up 138%. So
what are they
they're
trading at?
growing.
What's the price?
14 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
got smashed to bits.
Yeah. So the
So yeah.
context is I sold Corsair around like 12 bucks back in 2021, I think, something like that. So if it's 14 bucks and we're in 2026,
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know enough about it. Like it was a 2021 name. I wasn't in it, but I did look at it then, and I've not kept up with it at all, so I can't speak authoritatively on it all. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's move on. Best way to approach space from comms, which is what it is. SpaceX, Amazon, ASTS, Rocket Lab. I don't think this is a
like
question. I think this
SpaceX.
is a statement.
I think he's referring to the communication specifically. So the Starlink type of plays, ASTS, Rocket Lab. I wouldn't really put it like they do launch, but yeah, I would say SpaceX, ASTS, Amazon, Rocket Lab because of vertical reentry.
No. I think there's a case to be made for Rocket Lab because of their latest acquisition of Iridium, right? Doesn't Iridium have a whole bunch of like
right.
satellite network?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, and that was a good acquisition too.
That's a huge acquisition.
Yeah, maybe I'd move them up to number 2. I need to look more into that.
$8 billion acquisition of Iridium, man, and they're like a global satellite network. So, I think there is a case to be made for. Dude, Rocket Lab is turning into like a real heavy hitter, and they're the smallest company in this. I actually don't know what ASTS market cap is,
I think
but Rocket
ASTS is smaller, and I don't. Yeah, it's more of a pure play, but they don't do their own launches, so it's. I mean, Amazon's a conglomerate. So.
Yeah,
SpaceX, to be fair.
Let's move on. I'm sorry I'm rushing, but there's a lot of questions we got to get through.
Yeah.
Is it good to get Leaps or Beam in our $20 strike? I think that's probably good, but not financial advice. If you're bullish, then yeah.
Good enough.
Just go with what price do you think it's going to be in June, and then subtract out the premiums, and then look, are you still making a profit from $20 or not? Yeah. And if you are,
conservative Leaps.
Yeah. When SpaceX and Tesla merging, TBD.
Yeah, not anytime soon from that the earnings read on Tesla.
Yeah. Have we talked about NBIS yet? Yeah, we talked a little bit about it, but we will talk more about it on Monday. Highland asks that they're still in front of line. Yes, they are. Have I entered Ondas? Not yet. I picked it in the stock draft. Ondas is still very interesting to me. It's up a lot in the stock draft. I think it's up like over 30% since we did that draft at the beginning of July, I want to say. So, but they did have a big deal. So that's one of the factors there. Ondas is really interesting. Still very interesting. I know I'll dovetail into this. It's still very interesting to me. I haven't picked it up. I still think we need to get somebody on the channel to talk about Ondas. I've been slacking on that.
Beyond I don't know those two names. Well, KTOS, I don't know it, but I've heard of it. Red Cat's interesting to me too.
All right, cool. Let's move on. Chance that NBIS does not drop into earnings going in with high. Yeah, I think like they're going to be priced, close to perfection. Let's say CRWV might be the canary in the coal mine there because they're reporting before.
Yeah, they'll be influenced by CRWV's earnings, and likewise, NBIS will influence CRWV. But the big thing is, like, if they announce like a Google or Anthropic contract, they're probably going to run quite a bit. That's the wild card.
Yeah. What's it going to take for Ung to show up with a green or red mic based on his weekly P&L? I'm pretty sure you can like code this in Claude and then just put it as a driver on your mic. And if you really wanted to,
that would be fun. Yeah, I don't. I'll have to look into that.
Roy, have you seen Spider-Man yet?
Yes. Yeah, we saw it yesterday. So very, very good. I liked the previous one a little bit better, but yeah, this one is great.
Is it over $1 billion opening weekend great?
Is that what they did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I would say no, but I think usually for movies, the way that their opening weekend works is depends how good that previous movie was and how hyped this one is. And they killed it on both. So, but it's worth seeing, I think. Like if you like Spider-Man, if you're into those movies, I am. Very, very good.
It's still Tom Holland, right? The fact that I don't even know this is like, okay.
You didn't see it?
I haven't seen it, nor have I seen any trailers or anything like that. But I know like they've made, I think, 3 different Spider-Mans in the 3 last movies. And it's just like, guys, like you're retelling the old story, like the whole, I don't know. It's just whatever.
Have you seen any of the new ones with Tom Holland?
No.
Oh man, you got to repent.
I'm not really a Marvel guy, dude. I'm not.
It doesn't matter. Spider-Man is so good. It's so good. Well, and I am biased as a parent. Like my daughter's 13, and so those movies are like right in her wheelhouse. A lot of the humor, especially in the early ones, fits right in with where she's at, and it's just a fun family movie. But the third one, like if you like the Spider-Man series previously before the one right before this one, it was. I think it's my favorite superhero movie of all time. It was so good.
You know who the real Spider-Man is, Roy?
Who?
Toby. It's Toby.
You know, he was in the previous Spider-Man movie.
I'm sure they brought him. He's looking for more cash, as they all are. But Toby was the OG, and I'll stay faithful to that.
Oh my goodness, dude! You have to see the new series because the last one, like, okay, so my favorite thing of the last one. This is not the new one. No spoilers for this one. They brought back the 2 previous Spider-Men intentionally because of the multiverse thing, and they also brought in some of the previous villains, and they had like this whole redemption arc all the way through it, and it was so well done, so well crafted, and oh my goodness, that movie, like. I could watch that like 10 more times and just, yeah. Toby's amazing, yeah.
I'm aging a lot of people in the audience here by them claiming that they like Toby because that's an age indicator, you know? That's like the Succession where you're trying to find out a girl's age, you ask them where they were on 9/11 because if they don't remember, they're too young.
Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse? Any of
No.
those, the cartoon ones?
No.
Oh, dude, those are so good too.
I love how like of all the fucking topics we talk about, like this one in particular is what I have the most success rate in actually rage baiting you. It's freaking stupid Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Anyways, Spider-Man, what are you, 14, Roy?
Inside, yes.
Yes. Stay that way, sir. Ham or turkey sandwiches? Ham.
Turkey.
Great. Are we going to debunk Michael Burry short? Yeah, we did. So that is at the 38-minute mark. Do you guys think LLMs will be commoditized? Good question.
Yes. 100%.
100%. All right. Yes, 100%. We move on. This channel is full of us unks. Yes, we are all unk on this channel. Highland asks, they have 9 billion, but going to spend 20 billion plus on capex. Could be pressure in the short run. This is about NBIS. Just got to watch where did they get the 10 billion. Yeah, I mean, look, I think their CFO Dado is going to provide some commentary on the earnings on Wednesday, which I will be covering live. So definitely tune in bright and early for that one.
One little like kind of hangover that I do think might weigh on both CoreWeave and NBIS and Iron 2 is like the prepayments, like that have been coming from a lot of it's been coming from the hyperscalers.
Yeah.
Hyperscalers are now building out their own capacity. I don't know that they want to prepay right now.
I love how like this is coming from your chat. Your people are throwing you under the bus, Roy.
Block him. No, just kidding.
All right. Upcoming Toronto meetup next Saturday, guys. Not tomorrow, 1 week following. I could imagine a bunch of people running around with their phones showing their brokerage accounts. Hey, man, that's a great time in my books. All right. If everybody's making money, we're all happy. Okay. I'm going to be looking forward to meeting some of you guys in person on Saturday. So let me know in the comments if you are attending. And yeah, we can meet up in person and just nerd out on stupid, AI stuff. Why short it a week before earnings? Because I don't know. I wouldn't read too much into this. I don't think Michael Burry has some like magical analysis that we don't know have access to. He's comparing it to fucking houses, dude. Sorry, was that too honest?
No.
Is there some technical analysis reason to shorten NBIS? Possibly. I mean, they're quite high.
50-day moving averages.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't read too much in that. Earnings are coming up.
Blake is going to be there in Toronto on Saturday. Lisa's going to be there in Toronto on Saturday. I can't wait to meet you guys. This is going to be really fun. You should have an open mic where people show their tickers, hidden gems. Bro, we do have an open mic where people do that. It's called 2 podcasts every single week. What's your average on CoreWeave, Roy?
It's a little bit above where it's at right now. It's like 95 or something. But I have a bunch of leaps that are like pretty deeply in the money. One little short-term play as well that was like mid-September, and those printed, and I was like, hey, good enough for a screenshot, good enough to take profits. So that one I exited, but that was a short-term one.
Yeah. Highland gifted 5 Crossroads memberships saying, I love Roy too.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Highland. When will we live stream these meetups? Dude, I don't think anybody wants to see that. Just take a flight. Bring back the stock tank. Best way to learn about new potential positions. Yes, we definitely need to bring back the stock tank. Maybe an Ondas episode if Tanner's interested or something else.
And figure.
Thank you, Dogs and Cars, for becoming a new member. Really appreciate that. If you had 20K to start a portfolio, how would you guys go about structuring it? Okay, so first things first, I would look at how old am I, let's say. If it's my age, I would invest differently than if I'm 20. So number one. Number two, I would look at what are my monthly contributions to this portfolio. If I'm contributing, $2,000 a month versus never contributing to it again, I'm going to invest differently. And then number three, what's my time horizon? And number four, what's my risk tolerance? Once you get all of those factors put together, you can make a portfolio composition that is the perfect balance of risk and peace of mind for you to sleep at night. Personally, for me, a 20K portfolio, I will go all in on one name and be very, very careful about what is that one name that I choose. And I would only diversify to 2 names around 50K and to 3 names around 100K. because my time horizon is long, my risk tolerance is high, and my concentration is ultimately what's going to build that portfolio higher for me. So that's just how I would go about it.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest factor is where you're at as far as if you're young, you got a lot of time before you retire. That's going to be more aggressive investment up front. And if you're close to retirement, well, 20K is not going to do a lot for you, but be more conservative. That gave me a great idea for another members only video. I actually had a good chunk of my portfolio, not a good chunk. Well, it's what I've managed does vastly better than the S&P 500. But I had the broker that I've been with since I was a kid send me the oldest printout of my holdings, and so I got one from back in 2003. And one of those portfolios, I didn't do anything with them. I didn't add any money at all. Man, when time is on your side, it's just glorious.
Yeah. Surfing on these comments. Thank you, sir.
He's a
we love you too, Brandon. Yeah, please don't get arrested at the border, bro. That's not what we want. It's funny, Roy, that you mentioned that, because like my mom had one of these portfolios and she got like a bonus from work one year, and she was just like, hey, like, here you go. I'm not going to contribute to this one, because she had her main portfolio, and she's like, just do whatever with it. And it was a small amount. It was around that same, like 20K or something. And I put it all into NBIS, and she just actually pulled some money out 2 days ago to pay off some credit cards. But when I opened it, she was up 130% year to date on that portfolio. And I was just like, here you go, your money doubled. And she's like, dude, both my parents fully think it's a casino, because they just put money in and the money just goes up. And when they check on it a year or 2 years later, like the money is 2 or 3x, because they're not like, I'm swing trading, I'm selling options, I'm doing all this extra complicated shit. But for them, it's just, I'm investing in 2 names and I'm sitting on them for 2 years. And whenever they look at their portfolio and they pull money out, they're like, okay, like they have the same expressions as though they walked out of the casino with like winning money, like, oh, like we got to hurry up before they catch us, kind of thing. All right, let's see. How do you decide what price to exit or trim, especially for the neoclouds? I've been trimming, along the way. I have trimmed NBIS.
I trimmed NBIS before 200. I think 200, it's ahead of itself. CRWV, if and when they hit all-time highs, I don't think I'll take some off the table right then, but I'll set a target at that point. I need to see this earnings report, just see what they're doing.
Yeah, here's what I'll say is, with NBIS and a lot of these neoclouds that are very volatile, I will generally trim to the point where I'm playing with house money, and then I'll let that amount ride and I'll reinvest the principal elsewhere. So with NBIS, for example, I cut about 25% of my position, but NBIS has done a 3x for me. And
that's awesome.
And not only that, but I think I'm getting to the point right now where just the premiums that I've booked on NBIS are getting close to the book value that I invested in NBIS, which is staggering, because I'm already playing with house money right now from just like the profits plus premiums. But I'm getting to that point where just the premiums, because I was writing so deep in the money cash secured puts back in February and March, and just absolute degeneracy that paid off, it's getting to the point now where I could cut half of my NBIS position and I could let the other half ride, to eternity, because it's just, house money at this point. So that's also one consideration for this as well. Do you worry about short-term, long-term taxes when swimming? I'm not really worried, because taxes just mean that you made money. So, if you made gains, you pay your taxes. That's it. If you didn't make money, then you get a deduction on your taxes, and it's easy. So I'm not really too concerned about that. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Still into Nokia? Yes, it's like a 1.5% position. Are you surprised that BMNR hasn't tanked on Clarity? Yes, a little bit actually. But I think a lot of it was priced in, because the benefit, Nick, with getting a lot of this news piecemeal every single week, is that it slowly becomes priced in and the probabilities told the story there. Is BMNR still a thing? Yes. Are you guys looking at Trade Desk at all? Roya, I'll let you tackle this one. 6 billion market cap seems low. They're about $13 right now, down from like 180. Still think they're a falling knife, but at some point they become attractive. Yeah, maybe it's zero at that point.
I don't think that they're going to zero. Jeff Green is a great CEO. I've not, other than the headline and the stock price action, I've not kept up over the last few quarters with them. They're going to get kicked out of the S&P 500, like almost for sure. There's no way. There's some patience with lower market caps and everything, but they are the worst performing component of the S&P 500 this year, and that's so much smaller than the market cap that they need. So that usually adds some selling pressure as well. That afterwards, after they're kicked out, usually if you're looking for an entry, can be a good entry. It surprised me how much that they've underperformed, though. I don't really know what's going on there, so I'd have to take a deep look at that first.
Yeah, Brandon says Zeta is the better trade.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I wouldn't disagree. Thoughts on Take Two? It's been climbing for GTA 6. I don't think GTA 6 is fully priced in. A lot of it is. I don't think it's fully priced in, guys. I think GTA 6 is going to sell like hotcakes when it comes on the week that it's going to go live. I haven't bought GTA 6 yet, but I will buy it the week before it goes live so I can get the digital download and I can play it the night of it going live. I don't think it's been fully priced in, okay?
Yeah.
When they come out with the numbers that they are going to show for GTA 6, I think Take-Two is going to, climb higher. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's priced in. Jared says, my weight definitely fluctuates up and down by 10 pounds depending on the travel and stress levels. I would say this is true. This is, unfortunate, but hey, sometimes it works out. What are the biggest bottlenecks in AI other than power? Demand?
Probably memory still. Memory is ridiculous. I'd say that's the biggest.
Yeah, this was also crazy. Star Buccaneers, GTA 6 extended look on Netflix. Did you see this, Roy?
Mm-mm.
Netflix is posting like 6 hours of gameplay of GTA 6. And it's like,
interesting.
You now have to have a paid subscription to see the gameplay from this. It's just crazy. I don't know. All my friends pre-ordered. Yeah, dude. It's I'm definitely gonna pre-order. Okay. How much of BMNR do I still hold? It's about 2% of my portfolio-ish. Even after I just lied. It's about 3.5% of my portfolio, even after it's fallen. So it was about 7% at the top. It's down about, by half. So yeah. Let's see. I would like to start selling covered calls on myself. I did just start generating income. What price would you guys start looking to sell covered calls? I don't really sell covered calls on SoFi because the premiums are dog shit.
Yeah. Now I would say is not the time. You wait for some sort of catalyst. Like around earnings, it could be good, just conservatively, or whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, premiums it's not worth it. It's you get a little bit of money, but man, you risk being blown out of the water when things shift. So
yeah. Thank you, Star, for the 2 jewels like 30 minutes ago. Just got around to it. But thank you. SoFi projects 2 rate cuts with 60 cents EPS. What if there's 0 rate cut? Yeah, I think we can get to like 75 cents possibly. I don't know.
That's the exact number I had in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Erica says, right on. I was freaking out about taxes till I wasn't. Yeah. If taxes are just the reality of life, guys, like unless you guys are willing to overthrow the government, which you guys aren't because you're pussies, then we got to pay taxes and just be happy about that. So shut up about it. Sorry if that's too honest.
The police are coming for you.
Yeah, I mean, for what? I'm siding with the. Anyways, what would convince me to get into Micron? Very little, I think. I'm kind of bullish on Micron right now, Erica. So I mentioned at the start of this show, I think Micron could get very interesting.
Yeah.
What's on the shopping list for tomorrow? Well, a nice bagel and a coffee because tomorrow is Saturday. But for Monday, I don't know. I gotta see where the Neo Clouds go at the end of earnings. So maybe we might get some attractive prices.
School supplies for my daughter.
I love the comments. Yeah, FBI knocking on the door. Someone, yeah, exactly. I mean, look, man. If you want change, you gotta make change. If you don't want change, then don't complain about not having change. Like it's so simple. Stop complicating it. Any DGM plays on Nebius ahead of earnings? No, I am not. I'm not. I'm not doing anything on earnings for Nebius. I have cash secured puts in excess. I have 120 cash secured put. Hold on, let me read them out for you guys. I have 120 cash secured puts for September. I have 5 of those, so about 60 grand collateral. And then I have 175 cash secured puts for December. I have 4 of those, so about 70 grand collateral. So in total, I have about 130 grand collateral on Nebius that I am forced to buy if it does fall. I don't have any covered calls on Nebius right now. I'm not writing any covered calls over earnings. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You could move to a Saudi. I think it's too hot. I don't think I would fare well. I burn easy. So yeah. Erica was about to say the same thing. We need to get Tevis into Micron. Hey, man, point me in the right direction. Yeah. This is the kind of video that's going to be taken out of context to deny Tevis the green card allocation. Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I don't know what to tell you. If me sharing my open thoughts is denying me the green card, that's against American values, and I would happily push back against that. So you can play at that game. All right. Biofraud says, what is your number? What is the number at which you could walk away today? And he said, could you walk away with 3, 5, 10 million? What's the number? You think 3?
million. Yeah, 120,000 according to Rule of 4%. Very comfortable living. I'm aiming for 5 for retirement, but yeah, 3, that'd be fine.
Yeah, look, I think I could definitely do 3. Easily 2, 3.
Oh yeah, I mean, like overseas especially, like a lot of these places, beautiful, amazing countries and areas to live in, and 120,000 US dollars goes a long way. Like you can live comfortably in the United States, but like, man, Greece.
Yeah, look, to everybody who's saying 10 million or 20 million, those Latinas are not cheap, Jer Wang says. And I need 20 million for them. Bro, Tevis, you have 3 million. Who are you kidding? No.
Tevis wants to be loved for who he is. The money's just the cherry on top.
Thank you, Roy. Couldn't have said it better myself. Back to this question. Look, I think 3 is like the rational number. Like I think there's levels at which you start feeling, comfortable, where you're secure, and you're going to be secure unless you do something stupid for the rest of your life. I think for me though, it's probably closer to 5. 10 is just no. Like at that point, you have crossed over the diminishing return side of your time relative to your wealth. What you can do with 5, you can do with 10. Sure, with a little bit more of a margin of safety, but the amount of time it's going to take you to get to 10 relative to 5 is not going to be worth the amount of value that 10 is going to give you relative to 5. So I think 5 is like the perfect number. I think 3 is what the vast majority of people can comfortably live the rest of their life with, and then still have some left over to pass on. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the danger is like when you get to those big numbers, then your children can become professional waiters, and they're just waiting until you die and not doing anything meaningful with their life. That's bad for them. That's bad for society. Doesn't teach them anything. Like that's not how I raise my kids. I don't think that that's a danger for any of my kids, and I don't have that kind of money anyway right now. But like, I'm just saying, like 3 is a nice fit. 3 to 5.
Yeah. Full of wisdom. Yes, you are, Roy. 3 million guys. You can't live in New York with 3 million. I'm sorry. You gotta pick and choose where you live. If you want New York, you got to put 10. Tevis will have an ironclad prenup. Yes. Um, why do you think Tevis has 3 million? He has 12, so who cares? Okay, thank you. Um, Koreans enter the chat. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
okay, so I agree with this. It depends on where you live,
yeah.
but I also agree with this. 3 million in a bear versus 3 million in a bull are very different things.
Yes.
Very different things.
Well, one thing that I'll say is, yeah, that's true. And in the bear, like even very solid conservative investments are going to go down. But when you hit your goal, when you hit your number, or you get close to it, that's when you begin to take some risk off the table. Or at least I do. You know, I invest differently than I did even 5 years ago because the numbers in the account are sizable and we're well on track. There's no reason to go as heavy on options. And you know, just some more conservative names there. Like Nubank is something I probably wouldn't invest in at all in 2021, but I hold it.
Here's the other thing that, sorry, not not this comment. This comment. 10 million is just the 2x from 5 million. Yes, and here's the other thing. If you have 5, you can literally put it on autopilot, and you will mathematically get to 10 very easily because the amount of money that you pull out is way smaller from a 5 million base than the natural compounding of that 5 million. Even if you put on SPY and SPY goes up, 10%, let's call it, and you pull out from 5 million, let's say you pull out 200K a year, 4%, you're still, that 5 is still going to be higher and higher on average every year, even in SPY. I'm not talking about covered calls or dividend stocks or anything like this. It's just mathematically, it's going to grow. Like that snowball has already started rolling down the hill, and it's going to continue that momentum. It still happens with 3. It still happens with 1. Um, but yeah, I think 5 is like 5 mil at 7% interest is $30,000 a month. What the hell are you going to do with 30 grand a month, bro?
I wouldn't expect 7% interest unless you're in something like STRC. Well, that's much higher.
I mean,
We want safety at
well,
that level.
one batch of covered calls on NBIS at 5 mil, and you have 7% for the whole year.
Yeah.
Musk has 3 million pocket change. Tevis doesn't have 5. sorry to break it to you guys. Yeah, 3 million with a 5% dividend.
There you go.
3 million plus a paid off home, in and out. You got it, Nick. That's it. Yeah, go watch that John Goodman scene. He didn't even say 3 million. I think he said 2 million.
Well, that was a while ago. Inflation,
I guess. Yeah, why would you want to live in New York? For proximity. Why would you want proximity? For a network. Why do you want a network? To make millions. Guess what? You already have the millions. Go live in Europe.
Yeah, or Florida.
Mm-hmm. Do your kids watch your streams, right?
Rarely. Yeah, no. My middle son, he's going off to college in a week and a half again. So summer he's here and he's not working right now. He was working in the past, but when he has a little extra time on his hands, he'll watch some of my videos, especially CoreWeave. He's very bullish on CoreWeave. So
yeah, I got 3 million in non-dust. Congratulations on the gains in July. Thank you for being here. I'll feel broke with 100 million. That's a mindset problem. That's not a money problem.
Yeah, you got to fix that.
3 million is not enough, brother. If you think 3 million is not enough, you either have outrageous, expectations around the quality of life that you want to be living, or you haven't traveled enough to see how most of the world, how cheap it is.
Yep.
Hit the like button. Yeah, what's the allocation? I would just say, VU and chill.
Yeah, VU and bonds, honestly, if I'm in retirement.
Yeah, Latinas for 30K. Okay. All right. I know we're over. Elixir says, would you rather grab a beer with Burry or Paul Serra? Good question.
No, I don't drink, so I'll say energy drink with Burry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd grab a beer with Burry for sure. Highland says, I'm on pace to spend 3 million on Tevis's channel and it's worth it. Highland, I love you for it. Thank you so much for being here. Every great channel needs a big whale, and Highland is mine until he's dethroned by. So, wasn't there like a bidding war last stream?
Yeah, duck hammer on mine. Yeah.
Tevis 3 million Canadian pesos or USD? Always USD. Canadian
Yeah.
pesos don't freaking count. They're not real money. It's like monopoly money. Okay, USD only. Yeah, if you retire in Thailand and Vietnam with 3 million, you are going to be a king there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of places that are really nice around the world. If you know, if you want to, if that's your thing, like you can retire. You could retire on like $50,000 a year income per year, and live nicely in a bunch of areas.
Who is the whale in here? Yeah, Highland is the whale in here, I would say. But there's probably some, person who's watching the channel who's never commented, who's probably sitting on like 50 mil, just chilling, and they know who they are. So,
And congrats.
All right, we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think we ended there. Ronald, what do you think?
Yeah, sounds good. Tennis.
Thank you, everybody, for watching the Ronald and Tennis Show. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. Join us on next week for the Bootleg Weekly on Monday, where we're going to talk about Rocket Lab's earnings report. We're going to talk about our expectations for CoreWeave and for NBIS. Thanks, Ronald and Tennis. Who is Ronald?
That's me today.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. Like, I talk to Claude about like the YouTube stuff, and he thinks Ron and Travis are my co-hosts. And he's like, whenever you go live with Ron and Travis, I'm like, mother, I am Travis, like, anyways. Thanks funny. Everybody for being here. Best community on YouTube.
Yeah,
I will continue
to
do that. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Happy weekend and see you soon.